Yo. Let's see. I should close this. I think light is a little better when this is closed. Am I typing or mashing the keys? I was typing. I was just getting stuff ready. How's it going? How are you guys doing? Welcome to another stream. Woo! It's very minimal. I have a picture I want to put up. I just haven't gotten around to it. I'm gonna hang a picture right there. Maybe something right here. I need a little more art. Gotta get a carpet. I just haven't. My room is very minimal. I don't know. I like it. I do like it, but I would like it a little more homey in here. You know. I also like dampen down the echo. It's very minimal. I'm a minimal guy. But thank you. I'm glad you like it. How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing tonight? I didn't do much today. I was doing a little work. It's very hard to do other work right now for me, just with everything going on. But I have to do a very small piece about facial recognition technology that I've been working on. But just sat around and was reading some articles for that. Good. So, yeah, I'm gonna... The White House briefing is starting soon. I want to watch this. The last one was wild, huh? I don't know if you guys watched it with me, but Trump's finally taking this stuff pretty seriously, it seems like. I don't know. Have you read the news? I haven't even really read the news. I saw that Florida, I started to be restrictive after the governor for a long time was sort of like, didn't want to do it. I mean, the economy continues to be shit. Luckily, I have no stocks or assets, so my fortunes have not shifted that much right as of yet. But you don't know. I think it would be bad if, personally, I think it would be bad if the economy crashed. I don't know about you guys, but not really looking forward to that. Yeah, every day is just sort of the same now. I walked outside. It's really nice out. I a couple people I know from Brooklyn who moved down the street, and I saw one of them from a distance, but I didn't really want to talk to her, so I was just sort of like walking down the street next to her. Felt a little weird, but I don't know. These days I'm like so shut off from human contact that it just like the thought of like making small talk with somebody on the street is really nerve-wracking, you know? I think I've been cut off for too long. Forgot how to interact with people. That was happening even before this, but Hey Mocha, what's up? Just waiting for Trump to come along now. What's this? Try and make the mirror. It's a stain. I was watching this pretty funny. You guys know who Too Mad is? He was like rating Zooms.
Oh
God, who is that?
God from Japan. You know who Joe is?
Oh, no. Oh.
You don't know who Joe is? Joe Mama. What is this class
Okay,
about?
let's let some people get signed in. You
You
guys
said Spanish, right? That's hey Google. Play
with yourself.
Despacito, please.
So in all reality, who is that? Is that Noah, Aiden, or Blake? Knock it off. We've got parents on this call. I've got my kid here.
Oh yeah, parents.
I need to
Sorry.
curious.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So who are you?
I just said it again.
right.
On your tip, baby.
Man. So there's some states where there's no order at all. You can just go around. South Dakota. What's it like in South Dakota? People are just living life like normal? There we go. I wonder if they'll have stereo right here. Oh, is there an echo? I had my headset mic on. Sorry about that. Should be better now. How are you doing? Oh, Nemo? Nemo. Is that your name? Nemo? Not oh, Nemo. Nemo. How you doing? Where do you live, man? San Diego. Alright. Fellow Californian over here. Nice day out in Southern California, huh? They probably closed the beaches, though. The beaches are weird with no people on them. Girlfriend was down in Santa Monica. I'm saying there's like beaches were just totally empty. I wonder if there's. People are still surfing? Well, I don't know. You can't catch it in the... You can't catch it in the water, can you? Gotta stay 6 feet away in the water. You ever surf? Do you surf? I've surfed a couple times in California. It's pretty fun. I wish I could do it more. Sort of far from the beach, though. Doctors here are urging them to stop as the sea breeze carries the virus further. No shit. Really? That's hard to believe. The sea breeze carries the virus further. I would think that maybe the salt water would kill it or something. What cough or sneeze spreading further than 6 feet? There was an article on it. I saw that. But in the ocean, you know, it's sort of like gotten spread all over the place. I guess you could do it. I don't know. What should I watch until Trump comes on? 27 feet, I heard. Well, they you know, did you see Fauci got really mad about that article, actually? He said it was not true. Look, Fauci got mad.
I'm sorry, but I was disturbed by that report because that's misleading. That means that all of a sudden the 6 foot thing doesn't work. That is a very, very robust, vigorous achoo sneeze. That's what that is. And that's not what we're talking about.
So he was just saying, like, yes, if you're in the room and somebody just like sneezes wildly, it could go 27 feet. But people aren't walking around just like sneezing at full blast in the direction of people. Well, you hope not. I don't know. Maybe they are. I haven't seen that. People are pretty considerate. You know, the new thing is now I feel like we're pretty close to, I think, everybody being recommended to wear masks. You know that? Have you followed that at all? CDC is now weighing whether or not to recommend everybody wear masks. And I don't know, it seems to make sense to me, even if it's just a little bit of more of a little bit more of a protection. Seems worth it. And they say that it's only to prevent people who are spread the disease, not you from getting it, right? Which I don't truly understand the like physics behind that, because it seems like if it would prevent the droplets from going out of your mouth, wouldn't it prevent it from coming in? But they say that it only stops people from getting it. Or people from spreading it, not getting it. But the fact that so many people, apparently 1 in 4 people, have it asymptomatically, and that they don't know they have it and they spread it, it sort of seems like you need to have everybody wearing masks because they might not know they have it and they're just walking around, going to the grocery store. You know, I mean, that would be wild, right? If every person in the United States started wearing masks. We just like walk outside, everybody's wearing a mask. Kind of creeps me out, honestly. I don't know. I'd want to know how good how much difference does it make? How does it spread if you don't have symptoms? You're not coughing or sneezing, right? I guess from just exhaling. Let's see. What we know and don't know about asymptomatic. Here's infected but feeling fine. Unwitting coronavirus spreaders. CDC says new data about people who are infected but symptom-free could lead the agency to recommend broadened use of masks. As many as 25% of people infected with the new coronavirus disease may not show symptoms. The agency has repeatedly said ordinary citizens do not need to wear masks unless they are feeling sick. Oh, so they did say that people should wear masks if they're feeling sick. I didn't even know that. With the new data on people who may be infected without ever feeling sick, or who are transmitting the virus for a couple days before feeling ill, Dr. Redfield said that such guidance was being critically reviewed. Researchers do not know precisely how many people are infected. Oops. That didn't even work. When you touch stuff when you're infected, I think it could just come from like you talking and like little drops coming. Look, the risk goes up with sustained contact. It says they emphasize that, like influenza, some experts now say, the virus appears to spread both through large droplets and droplets smaller than 5 micrometers, termed aerosols, containing the virus that infect people might release, especially when coughing, but also while merely exhaling. They emphasize that the level of virus in both types of particles is low, so simply jogging or walking by an infected person does not put people at risk. This is something that I feel like people need to realize. If just walking by somebody, if you have a passing contact with an infectious person, you would be a very, very low chance of transmission occurring, said Dr. Benjamin Cowling. The risk goes up with sustained contact during face-to-face conversation, for example. Same airspace for a prolonged, by sharing the same airspace for a prolonged period of time. Some people never notice their symptoms. Others are unable to distinguish the infection from their smoker's cough or allergies or other conditions, and others may feel every pain acutely. Right. I mean, like, I have allergies, and, you know, I've had a stuffy nose and a bit of a scratchy throat. But I have also been at my girlfriend's house who has cats, and I always get that when I go to her house. So it's like that's truly the case. Then maybe I got it. I don't know. I'm trying to just not to like. Can't really do anything about it. Like, I'm just not going around people. You know. Yeah, I think I got it. I think I do. I think I got it. What are you gonna do? No. April Fools. I have no idea. I have no idea. Nobody knows. I still am of the mind that if I'm gonna get it, I wish I could just get it now. I just want to be over with. I should be in this press room? No thanks. I got better things to do than be in DC and just go to this fucking shit show every day. I mean, it would be nice to like have... These are like the only people who are allowed to be in a room with more than 10 people, you know? I would like to be in a room with people. Oh, they got the sound going. Any reporters out there I look up to? Glenn Greenwald is probably one that I really look up to. You got, I know, look at that. It's kind of cool. Yesterday's was really long. I feel like today's is going to be short. Which is good, because I want to play some fucking Escape from Kharkov. I don't know. I don't really know if you guys enjoy that, watching me play that, but that is a really fun game, and I think I'm going to play that more. Had a good session yesterday. Met a guy. I met a guy. He helped me get some gear. See if he's still.
Somebody set a remote there and didn't readjust them. Runner.
I've just been playing a lot of video games, reading a lot, drinking, sleeping. I'm ready for this to be done, though. The only things I'm looking forward to is this being done. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Looking forward to that. I don't watch a lot of Fox News. I just use this one for some reason. I don't know why. I just like it. Not much has changed for you, really? Come on, nothing has changed? I'm an introvert too. I didn't see very many people, but I don't know, it just seems to me like a lot has changed. Even the small things. Just a lot more people are like texting me, wanting to talk. I mean, the world, I don't really know what's going on in the world, just the general level of uncertainty. Not being able to go see my friends at all. Wretched soul, nothing has changed. Has anything changed for you?
I will talk to you later then, probably not. But yeah, it's been fucking real.
What's this?
Yeah, it's been real. Peace.
Alright, later. Yo.
Oh.
She's cool. Alright, Kimberly.
Mm-hmm. Ah, I see. You're used to bunkering down. What do? You play games? Play Escape from Tarkov? I'm looking for a duo. No social distancing going on here. What do you play? There we go. Yeah, I only watch
Thank you very much, everybody.
this because I like the chat.
Thank you.
It's just adds a.
So, America continues to wage all-out war to defeat the virus, this horrible, horrible virus. You see how terrible it is, especially when you look at the numbers from yesterday. And we explained why we're extending our nationwide guidelines to slow the spread for 30 days. Together, we have the power to save countless lives. We are attacking the virus on every front with social distancing, economic support
No, he is not
for
well
our
spoken.
workers,
No.
rapid medical intervention,
I don't know what he's gonna add today. What did he
and
do?
very serious
It
innovation,
was so long. It was the longest
and
appearance
banning
yesterday.
dangerous foreign travel that threatens the health of our people. And we did that early, far earlier than anyone would have thought, and way ahead of anybody else. In this time of need, I know that every American will do their patriotic duty and help us to achieve a total victory. As governments and nations focus on the coronavirus, there's a growing threat that cartels, criminals, terrorists, and other malign actors will try to exploit the situation for their own gain, and we must not let that happen. We will
Martial
never
law.
let that happen.
What if he announces
Today, the
martial
United
law
States
right
is
now?
launching enhanced counter-narcotics operations in the Western Hemisphere to protect the American people from
Oh,
the
he
deadly
just went
scourge
live.
of illegal narcotics. We must not let the drug cartels exploit the pandemic to threaten American lives.
Wow.
In cooperation with the 22 partner nations, U.S. Southern Command
You
will
gotta be
increase
kidding.
surveillance, disruption, and seizures of drug shipments,
That's what I'm talking about.
and provide additional support for eradication efforts, which are going on right now at a record pace. We're deploying additional Navy destroyers, combat ships, aircraft and helicopters, Coast Guard cutters, and Air Force surveillance aircraft,
Hey, beep.
doubling our capabilities in the region. Very importantly, our forces are fully equipped with personnel, protective equipment, and we've taken additional safety measures to ensure our troops remain healthy. Secretary Mark Esper, Attorney General Bill Barr, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien will provide more details. In addition, I'm going to have General Milley, who's done an incredible job in so many ways, say a few words. And also with us, our Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Gilday, who you know, I think you know.
Someone in that room
And
is going to get
Commandant
it.
of the
Someone
Coast
in that
Guard,
room is going to get coronavirus.
Admiral Schultz. So I'm going to ask Mark to start, and then we can go. And after that, we're going to take questions as it pertains to this, and then we'll go on to phase 2, which is the virus itself. Okay? Thank you. Please, Mark.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, Navy ship.
I
heard
appreciate
about
the
that,
opportunity
too.
to be here today as we make this very important announcement.
Hold on.
At a time when the nation and the Department of Defense are focused on protecting the American people from the spread of the coronavirus, we also remain vigilant to the many other threats our country faces. Today, at the President's direction, the Department of Defense, in close cooperation with our interagency partners, began enhanced counter-narcotics operations
Who
in the
cares?
Eastern Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. This initiative is part of the administration's whole-of-government approach to combating the flow of illicit drugs into the United States and protecting the American people from their scourge.
No, he's talking about the Ryan, Wretched is talking about the aircraft carrier. There's an aircraft carrier with a ton of
For their tremendous support and cooperation.
cases.
To conduct these enhanced operations, the President has directed the deployment of additional ships,
Hey, Homo
aircraft,
Deuce.
and security
What's up?
forces to the United States Southern Command area of responsibility. Included in this force package are Navy destroyers and littoral combat ships, Coast Guard cutters, P-8 patrol aircraft, and elements of an Army Security Force Assistance Brigade.
This is dumb.
These additional forces
Why?
will nearly double our capacity to conduct counter-narcotics operations in the region. Additionally, 22 partner nations have joined us in this fight, bringing with them a variety of intelligence and operations capabilities needed to defeat these criminal
Right, the cruise ship.
organizations.
The cruise ship
Last
that's
year alone,
stuck.
the United States Southern Command's
There's a
operation
cruise ship that's stuck off the coast of Florida.
metric tons of drugs, much of which was designated for shipment to America. this was an
Look.
incredible achievement, there is much more work.
Florida won't let them in because the governor's like, we don't want more people with coronavirus.
Threaten our security by smuggling cocaine, fentanyl, methamphetamines, and other narcotics across our borders. These drug traffickers put our communities at risk and destroy lives.
Yeah.
Every year, tens of thousands of Americans die.
You can go on a cruise for cheap. I was looking at cruises yesterday. I saw a 4-night cruise for like $150.
Like the illegitimate Maduro regime in Venezuela rely on the profits derived from the sale of narcotics.
I mean, you can't go till June though.
Aggressive hold on power. The Venezuelan people continue to suffer tremendous.
4 dead and nearly 200 people have been sick. May be allowed to dock. Oh, maybe.
Drug traffickers are seizing on this lawlessness by increasing their illicit activities. We must do more to prevent these drugs from arriving at our shores. These enhanced counter-narcotics operations that are now underway will further disrupt the flow of illicit drugs to America, deny our adversaries the financial resources they depend on, and build the capacity of our partner nations throughout the region. I want to thank President
This is the ideal time to fight against drug cartels? No, it's not.
This is a particularly important time for this operation to begin. As nations around the world shift their focus inward to deal with the coronavirus pandemic, many criminal organizations are attempting to capitalize on this crisis. The enhanced operations we are announcing today will keep the pressure on these criminal groups and protect the American people from the devastation caused by the flow of illegal drugs into our country. Mr. President, thank you for your leadership as we begin this important operation.
Sorry, Jolly.
While the men and women of the United States military work hard
That
here
good?
at home to fight the coronavirus, we continue to take action around the world to defend our great country.
I was just turning it down
Thank
because he
you.
wasn't
Now I'd
really
like to
saying
invite
anything
General
interesting. He was just saying that he's
Thank you, Secretary, for those
fighting drugs.
words, and thank you, Mr. President, for your
Hey,
leadership.
Moises
And I want
Lawyer.
to publicly thank
Hey, Jolly.
Admiral Craig
How's it going,
Fennell,
guys?
the commander
How are you
of
doing?
the U.S. Southern Command out of Miami, for leading this
Weed,
operation.
cat, and video games are all I need.
Today. And also Admiral Gilday.
Sometimes I feel like that.
Operation Admiral Schultz for their contributions to this from their services. There's thousands
But
of
I realize now that I need some sort of social interaction.
soldiers, airmen, Marines involved in this operation. We came upon some intelligence some
Doing
time
okay.
ago that the drug cartels, as a result of COVID-19, were going to try to take advantage of the situation and try to infiltrate additional drugs into our country. As we know, there's 70,000 Americans die on an average annual basis to drugs. That's unacceptable. We're at war
I would
with
like a cat,
COVID-19.
yeah.
We're at war with
I'm
terrorists.
allergic, though.
And we are at
I
war
don't
with the
know.
drug cartels as well. This is the United States military. You will not penetrate this country. You will not get past Jump Street. You're not going to come in here and kill additional Americans. And we will marshal whatever assets are required to prevent your entry into this country to kill Americans. So right now, the Navy has marshaled additional Gray Hull ships from both.
I think this
Nations
is, he's just
and Yukon
grasping on anything that he can to show that he's
and they are set
handling
sail
this
already.
crisis
They're
in like
the
an
Caribbean
assertive
right now.
way.
In addition to that, there's 10
So he
Coast
can't do
Guard
anything about the virus
and
because
the
they
Special
fucked up. So
Operations
he's
Forces
just
and
trying to
Special
like
Forces Assistance
be like,
Brigades, along with
we're gonna
Air
crack
Force,
down on drugs.
reconnaissance aircraft.
We'll keep
The bottom
people
line is
safe.
You're not going to get through.
People are feeling very unsafe, you know. So I think they're trying to project the idea that we can
With the United
protect
States military, we will
Americans.
defend our country regardless of the cost. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. President.
trying to
Thanks
scare
for
the
your,
Americans, right.
decisive leadership as we
Well,
confront this
send a
unprecedented
signal they're still
challenge posed by coronavirus. And I'd like to thank you for your support for this important initiative and thank all of the Secretary of Defense and all the services for taking on this important initiative. Obviously, during this crisis, we're all focused above all else on COVID-19. But at the same time, our law enforcement and national security work must go forward, protecting the American people from the full array of threats. For the Department of Justice, one of our highest priorities must remain destroying the Mexican cartels. Their trafficking is largely responsible for the deaths, as we all know now.
Yep, they fixed the balance.
Americans a year.
Hearing people get deposits coming in by April 17th. Right. That's what they say.
Destroyed families, the destroyed lives, the draining of our national.
You don't have to fill out anything, do you? You just get it automatically? I haven't filled anything out.
This narcotic trafficking causes. The president has made clear that we are in this fight against the.
I did do my taxes last year, yes.
And that we are not interested in half measures. And that the threat
And I do
posed
have
by
a
the
valid Social
cartel
Security.
is not just a law enforcement.
All right, get that Corona check.
National security threat as well. And in December, building on your success
I don't think it's.
with the Mexican
I don't think it's tied to the
president,
census. I do need to fill out the
forging,
census though.
a cooperative relationship.
Maybe we could do that. Maybe I should do that on stream, huh?
You asked me to go down and
Although
meet
it'll
with
probably dox
President,
me.
Lopez Obrador and our Mexican counterparts to see if we could also establish a more comprehensive and coordinated effort.
You need martial
with
law
Mexicans,
because drug cartels.
in confronting the cartels. And we've had some successful visits and discussions, and currently have an array of activities underway against the cartels. And we anticipate, along with the Mexicans, that these are going to bear fruit in the months ahead. But it quickly became clear that we can obtain the most immediate results, the best bang for the buck.
Imagine caring about drug cartels right now.
Assets involved in interdiction on both the Pacific and Atlantic side. Of
You think
Mexico.
anyone is out there being like, protect us from the drug cartels?
For years, the
That's the
cartels
source of all of our
using
problems.
these sea routes to take the cocaine up from
What's
principally
this?
Colombia, now also out of Venezuela. And
AMLO.
these sea routes on both coasts have become the primary means.
Shook hands with
of
Chapo's
bringing
mom.
Cocaine up to the United
Okay.
States. Because of the superb work done by the Defense Department and our intelligence community, we know exactly, most of the time, where these traffickers are at sea. But have been up till now, significantly limited in our ability to interdict because of the numbers of the assets we have deployed. Prior today, this limitation meant we could only intercept a fraction of the traffic.
1.2K isn't enough? No, it's not. That's how much money we're going to get, right?
Detected. This will now double our capacity.
Mexican government loves the cartels. Well, they have to sort of
Hundreds
deal
of
with them.
tons
They can't really
cocaine
control
now,
them.
we're now in a position to seize. So this is going to radically improve our interdiction efforts and put tremendous pressure, we think, on the cartels. And the effort that Southcom is undertaking is going to save lives by taking drugs off the street. Last week, I announced the unsealing of charges of narco-terrorism, drug trafficking, and other crimes against the former Maduro regime, 16 members of that regime, and their involvement in trafficking of 250 metric tons a year. A lot of that comes by sea, as I discussed at that time, but also because of the pressure.
500 if you have kids.
By our interdiction.
I'll get 1.2K. I wasn't paid over 99K. Last year, did not make very much money last year.
Firmly against
I'll take it.
regime.
No, I didn't make more than 99K last year, for sure. I have in the past, not last year.
Great success and great results, and at times we've taken our eye off the
So
ball.
I should be getting 1.2.
And I'm grateful that you, Mr. President, have brought focus
I could use
to
it.
this fight and the determination to use whatever tools are necessary to win the fight. The cartels have to be defeated, both for the people of this country and for the people of Mexico and Venezuela. So I'd like to thank you again, Mr. President, Secretary Esper, for providing the.
How many IRL streamers will get? Well,
help
how many?
Against the cartel.
How many IRL streamers have paid their taxes? Is my question.
Into our country, and with that, I'd like to introduce Ambassador O'Brien.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Mr. President. Today's action is another example of the bold leadership of President Trump and his commitment to protecting the homeland against threats.
This is so weird.
The United States and our Western Hemisphere. The uncontrolled flow of illegal drugs into the United States poisons our communities, fuels the dangerous epidemic of addiction, and threatens the safety and security of all
I wonder if
Americans.
they're sending the actual money they promised, like if someone got a big family.
Marine Corps, Air
I think
Force,
they are. I mean,
interagency
it'd be crazy if they just said they did
will
and they
address
didn't.
a range of threats to our national security posed by narco traffickers and narco terrorists. It will reduce illicit financial support for drug trafficking that provides the corrupt Maduro regime in Venezuela and other bad actors with the funds necessary to conduct their malign activities. Under President Trump's leadership, we will continue to execute our maximum pressure policy to counter.
I don't know. For some reason, they opened up with this,
including drug trafficking,
with this weird
and this operation will help to choke off the funds
thing about
that go to that corrupt regime.
killing.
Narco
Oh, now he's talking about Madero,
should make no mistake that even as we are working around the clock to fight the spread of the virus, we will continue to execute the President's counter-narcotics
Is
strategy.
this a distraction technique? Feels like
We're
it.
working on a number of important national security priorities as we face this public health crisis. The United States will continue to combat disinformation and fake news about this virus. We will work with the world's largest oil producers to address volatility in global oil markets. We will always protect our servicemen and servicewomen around the world, including in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Did he say fighting fake news?
I want the American people to know that President Trump and Vice President Pence and their administration are working tirelessly every day to protect the health and well-being of Americans and respond to the coronavirus.
What's up, Levitt's boss?
Our adversaries should take note, however, this president has a clear-eyed focus
Who is this
on
guy?
America's national security interest. And let me be clear, it would be a mistake with terrible consequences for any adversary to attempt to do us harm during this health crisis or ever for that matter. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks for following, Levitt's boss.
So do we have any questions on this? Because this group is going to go back to work.
I'd be like, why?
Question either for you, Mr. President, or Secretary Esper. What has changed that is allowing these assets to be deployed now, whereas General Barr said in the past they were not available?
Well, for a long time, we've had a lot of drugs coming into our country, and it's not that it's increased. We've probably got it down a little bit, but it's still a tremendous number. Families are being ruined, lives are being ruined.
Imagine the government doing this proudly without a pat on the back.
Especially as you're at this position, you would never believe it. I see things that nobody would believe. I see reports that nobody would believe. So I met with the group behind me, all of them, and we said, what do you think we can do? And they think they can interdict. They think that we can stop it before it gets to the shores. And they're coming from all over the place. And we have incredibly talented people. So I think I'm going to let Mark just give them a little bit of an answer to that. But we just want to see if we can stop a good percentage of the drugs coming into our country.
Sure thing. Thanks, Mr. President. So first of all, it's simply a matter of prioritization. The President's given us very clear guidance on what's important to him and protecting the American people. And as some of you know, I began a review months ago looking at all of our different geographic combatant commands and looking at where we can free up time, money, and resources to put into other endeavors. In this case, we had scrutinized our inventory fairly closely.
I don't know, man. They're running out of ideas. They're running out of ideas, I think.
With Admiral Gilday, and we felt that there was no risk to the fleet, to our operations.
They can't get anybody to stop paying attention to this coronavirus. They're grasping at straws.
To apply them to this presidential priority, and of course, the Coast Guard did the same. So it was a very good operation. We feel this is very important to the American people and completely in line with the President's direction.
And how long will you be able to keep up this operation?
Maybe they shouldn't do this daily if they're going to push this shit.
We're going to run it for some matter of time. I'm not going to
I know.
how long that will be, and then we will assess it, and then we'll make adjustments from there. We may increase, we may decrease, we may sustain as
Talking about suicide.
But
I
this will
think
be an assessment
he
of
maybe he'll just start using this to, like, you know, he's just going to start using this to, like, push his agenda.
Well, we didn't do it for this reason, but it'll also have an impact on the virus because we have people trying to get in. So not only drugs, but now we have a new phenomena, and that's at least for the next, hopefully, short period of time, the virus. So we'll be able to have an impact on that too. Please.
Yeah, Mr. President, could you expand on that a little bit because you tie it to COVID-19,
Yes,
saying that these drug cartels were taking advantage of the situation, of this pandemic. How exactly?
Opening with this because we seized $30 million drug coming from a
and
tunnel
even
in
parts of the
Mexico and San
world.
Diego.
And all of a sudden, areas where we had it clamped down pretty tight. In fairness, you know, the wall is up to about 160 miles already. And any areas where we have that wall, it's for the most part contiguous. We have fill-ins, but we're up to 161 miles exactly. And any place where you have that wall, other than walking around it on the edges, it's stopping everybody cold. I mean, we're stopping. Nobody's seen anything like it. That's how good it works. And the other side knew it worked that well, everybody, because everybody was for it 5 years ago. All of a sudden, they changed. It's having a tremendous impact. But we are now focused on so many different things because of what's happened, because of this horrible, I say it's a horrible phenomena, that now we've got to focus on drugs. And the drugs come in from different methods, and we have the best people at sea anywhere in the world. So we'll have a tremendous impact on drugs. But one of the other things will also have an impact, we think, on the virus. Okay? Yeah, please.
Ambassador O'Brien, did China underreport both the number of cases and the death toll
Well, this is a good
from
question.
the coronavirus? And if that's the case, Mr. President, what does that mean for our relationship with China and your relationship with President Xi?
Well, number one, I think the president has a great relationship with President Xi, and we'd like to have a great relationship with China.
Like with
Unfortunately, we're
WWE.
just not in a position to confirm any of the numbers that are coming out of China. There's no way to confirm any of those numbers. There's lots of public reporting on whether the numbers are too low. You've got access to those reports that are coming out of Chinese social media and some of the few reporters that are left in China. We just have no way to confirm any of those numbers. Thank you.
We really don't know. How do we know whether they underreported or reported however they report? But we had a great call the other night. We're working together on a lot of different things, including trade.
Right.
They're buying a lot. They're
I
spending
think they're
going
going
to
to start soon,
They're
but
giving it to our farmers. They're paying our farmers for the product. So, we're gonna continue that along. John, yeah?
I have another one, sir. You tweeted earlier today that there was, you have uncovered intelligence that there is a sneak attack being planned against American troops, American assets in Iraq. Are we talking about Kataib Hezbollah again? Also,
We don't want
you're
to say, but we just have information that
I didn't
they
see
were
that.
planning something, and it's very good information. It was led by Iran, not necessarily Iran, but by groups supported
Right
by
here.
Iran, but that to me is Iran. And we're just saying, don't do it. Don't do it. It'd be a very bad thing for them if they did it.
The last time they did do it in early March at Camp Taji, there was a response from the military
great.
against.
Yeah, he really wants to. We really should start a war with Iran
It was a
now.
very powerful response, by the way. That response knocked out 5 different places, but it also took out a lot of very bad people.
Your tweet seemed to suggest, though, that if it happens again, it may go up the food chain.
Well, that was a very big response. We knocked out a lot. They hit one site, we hit 5 big ones and ammunition sites. You saw what
Only
happened.
one guy. Is that Jim
I won't
Acosta?
say how many people were killed, but
No.
some bad
Who's
people
that
were
guy?
killed.
Who's this guy?
and a lot of
John
them.
somebody.
It was a big response. But this response will be bigger.
John Roberts,
if they do
right.
something. Yeah, you had one, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Just going back to your conversation with President Xi, wondering if you received an intelligence report that talked about the discrepancy in the numbers, and if you addressed that with
We have
President
not
Xi.
received that, but their numbers seem to be a little bit on the light side. And I'm being nice when I say that, relative to what we witnessed and what was reported. But we discussed that with him, not so much the numbers,
here's a new
as
chart
what they did and how
that I
they're
was
doing.
seeing.
And we're in constant communication with, I would say the biggest communication is myself and President Xi. The relationship's very good. We have, look.
We're still increasing
they will be
exponentially.
spending when things even
All
out.
other
This
countries
is
have begun
obviously a
slowing the
little
rate
bit
of
a hurdle,
increase
what's happened
in
over
deaths
the
by
last
now.
month.
Yes.
But they'll be
We're
spending
fucked.
$250 billion buying our product.
Look, we're still going
$50
straight
billion
up.
to the farmers alone, $200 billion to other things. They never did that before. So we have a great trade deal, and we'd like to keep it. They'd like to keep it, and the relationship is good. As to whether or not their numbers are accurate, I'm
U.S.
not
was
an
the last
accountant
big
from
country.
China.
Explain things at all in terms of the trade deals?
No, because people just don't know. People don't know where did it come from. I think we all understand where it came from, and President Xi understands that. And we don't have to make a big deal out of it. We didn't like the fact that they said it came from our soldiers, and they haven't pursued that. It was, and that was a mid-level person said that.
Yeah, but
That was
I don't
not a
know.
high-level
Spain and
person,
Italy
so
aren't.
I assume. I will always.
I guess
assume
Spain and
the
Italy
best.
have had
I
it
assume
longer.
The high-level people didn't know about it. It was a foolish statement. So the relationship with China is a good one, and my relationship with him is really good. Please.
Can I follow up just on that point on Chinese propaganda that you mentioned as well as Ambassador O'Brien? So in the past several weeks, China has been shipping PPEs, masks. They've either been selling or donating everywhere, Africa, Europe, Italy, Russia, and really pushing this narrative that they're taking on a global leadership role in the crisis. So what are your thoughts on that? And is there any plan for
Well,
the
I don't mind
administration
if they
to
want to.
take on that role?
I view that as a positive if they're helping other countries. We have 151 countries right now that are under siege by the virus. Under siege.
Lots of
so
old
we're doing
people.
really badly. They don't know about social distancing. These are countries that aren't highly sophisticated. They don't have great communication to the rest of the world. They don't know the things that we're doing and that some others are able to do. And if China can help them, I'm all for it. I'm for all of us helping everybody. We're soon going to have more ventilators than we need. We're building thousands of ventilators right now. Now, it takes a period of time to build them. And again, nobody could have known a thing like this could happen. We're building thousands. We will fairly soon be at a point where we have far more than we can use, even after we stockpile for some future catastrophe, which we hope doesn't happen. We're going to be distributing them, the extras, around the world. We'll go to Italy, we'll go to France, we'll go to Spain, which is in very hard hit.
On that note, is there any truth on reporting that your administration is stopping shipment of USAID stockpiles of PPEs abroad?
No, no truth whatsoever. No.
Your administration
No, we
is
want.
not.
I would love China and other countries if they have additional supplies, medical supplies, to give to other countries. 150. Why would I stop that? Wouldn't that be terrible to stop it?
Is the U.S. stopping shipment of our own stockpile through USAID to other countries?
No, whatever we have, whatever we've committed to, we commit. But we also need a lot for ourselves, so we're very focused on that until we get over this. So obviously, we're not going to be shipping too much until now. We do have excess.
Or by China? What do you mean by that?
We don't have enough of others. I just had a great talk today with the Doug McMillan
WHO,
from Walmart, and
they're in a tricky place.
Very, very big order to.
They have to cooperate with China.
Protective gear.
They need China's cooperation to help fight it. So
actually, very excited about it. He's the biggest purchaser of this kind of thing. I mean, of anything probably in the world, and he is very excited about it. And he said, "What size?" I said, "It's almost unlimited." When you look at these hospitals, the amount that they order, you almost say, how could they possibly use so much, whether it's masks or the protective gear? But we are supplying a tremendous amount, and we just ordered a lot from Walmart. And he's taken this on personally. And I said, let it be shipped not to a warehouse, directly to the side of the hospital or wherever they need it, because we save a lot of time when we do that. So Walmart, in addition to many other companies and people, is now involved at the highest level. Please.
The announcements that were made today are aimed at curbing the flow of narcotics into the country. Are you concerned that we're possibly losing ground on the drug crisis while we're...
I don't think we're losing ground, but we don't want to lose ground. That's why we're doing it. I don't want to lose ground. It's a big fight. I've seen many families where they're wiped out because they lost a son or a daughter or a husband or a wife or whatever. We're all of them. And we don't want to lose ground. And we are heavily focused on the virus, very heavily focused. And with this, we have never, after this goes into effect, which essentially is now, we will never have been so focused on drugs coming into our country as we are right now. And remember, as that wall gets bigger, that really helps us a lot. Really helps us a lot. Yeah, please.
Is the Mexican government or any other Latin American government working in conjunction with this operation to help with that drug?
Many of the governments
all right.
are, and Mexico.
What is this just going to turn into anti-drug propaganda now?
Soldiers at the southern border, keeping people out of our country, and we're
There's something on Twitter that I found that I'm curious what this.
And as we complete again the wall, in addition to the 27,000 soldiers, it's a very tough place to come into. When I took over, people were coming in and they were bringing whatever they wanted. They were bringing drugs of any type, and now it's very hard for them, and it will get hard.
I just saw this on Twitter. I want to see it.
Decatur, Georgia. Steve, good morning.
Hello there. Thank you, Daniel, for being on there to help us through this. I have one quick thing I want to say, though, to the callers. Please jump right in and say what you're calling to say, and don't bog the show down by saying good morning back to the host. I love C-SPAN. Every second counts. You can't be saying good morning all day. Thank you. Bye.
That's all Steve wanted to say. We'll go to Larry in...
Okay. Oh, this woman's from OAN.
I cannot tell you that. I know the answer to that. I believe I do, but I cannot tell you that. We have information that would lead us to believe something very powerfully, but I cannot tell you the answer to that. Yeah, please, Jeff.
Mr. President, have U.S. forces in Iraq taken any precautions because of this particular attack? And have you?
They're taking precautions, and we are watching it very closely. And if something bad happens, it's going to be very painful for the other side.
Have you been in touch with the Iraqi government about this?
Yeah, don't say good morning. As somebody who watches a lot of C-SPAN, I've never really watched C-SPAN. Maybe I should watch some C-SPAN.
Small force now over the years. Since I got, we've been bringing smaller and smaller, and we're down right now to a small number, but we have very powerful air power there. We have the big base, and which will, you know, I mean, nobody can get near it, and nobody can even get near that. But we've really largely left. You know, we've taken tremendous amounts out.
You can watch it online, I think.
We've deployed them elsewhere, including bringing some back home.
And do you think tweeting about it will help prevent that from happening,
Tweeting
or perhaps
is
give
still
them a
social
heads
media.
up?
It's social media. It gets out. I have, you know, hundreds of millions of people. #1 on Facebook. Did you know I was #1 on Facebook? And I just found out I'm #1 on Facebook. I thought that was very nice, or whatever it means. No, it represents something. And when I can explain to people, just don't do it. You know, it's going to be bad if you do. It's going to be really bad. And they don't need to do it. They have enough problems. Iran has enough problems without doing
God.
that. But we've been pulling back very substantially over the last year in Iraq. And so, you know, that's the way it
You
is.
said before you don't want to give the enemy, whoever that is in this case, a heads up. Do you feel like maybe you did?
No, I'm just giving them a warning. It's not a heads up. I'm giving them a warning. There's a big difference. I'm saying if you do anything to hurt our troops, they're gonna pay a price. No, they did last time. You know, as per the question, they did last time. We didn't make a big deal out of it, but we hit very, very hard 5 massive, major ammunition sites, and a lot of people went with it. A lot of bad people, a lot of enemy went with it. And we didn't want to make a big deal out of it, but they paid a big price. They'll pay a much bigger price this time if they do anything.
Now that we have Admiral Gilday here, perhaps we could ask a question about what the plans are for the Roosevelt, sir?
Sure.
In terms of Roosevelt, we're making great
This is
progress
the-
in terms of testing and also
this is
moving,
the,
moving people off the ship. So in the past
Aircraft carrier,
day or
they have
so,
a lot
we
of
moved over
cases on
1,000.
there.
That number will increase to more than 2,700 by Friday as we continue to increase the testing as well and fly those samples off. So we're getting after it pretty quickly.
And will the ship remain fully operational?
It is fully operational now.
And will remain
Remember
so?
a cholera epidemic? I'll check them
What
out.
protocols are you putting in place to help mitigate the spread of coronavirus among servicemen and women who live and work in those
Across the fleet, before we have any ships getting underway for training exercises, for deployments, they're spending those sailors are spending 14 days
This is
in
what they're talking
quarantine
about
before
here.
they get underway. We've increased the amount of testing equipment.
Lavitz,
as
boss,
well
you're
as
woke, huh?
Positions on board our ships at sea. So we've taken additional steps since the beginning of the.
People are going to be getting off at various ports anymore, right? I think we probably
Truth is out there.
have decided on that.
You mean civilians?
Thank you. No.
These institutions.
I want to add one.
Dude, they have their
I'd like to add one
problems
thing
for
to that.
sure.
There seems to be this narrative out there
I
that
don't-
we should just shut down the entire United States military and address the problem that way. That's not feasible. We have a mission. Our mission is to protect the United States of America and our people. And so we live and work in cramped quarters, whether it's an aircraft carrier, a submarine, a tank, a bomber. It's the nature of our business. But the chain of command has very clear guidance, and I'm confident between the commanding officers and the senior non-commissioned officers that they're taking every reasonable precaution to make sure we practice as best we can social distancing, sanitizing environments, et cetera.
What did he say?
Consistent with that mission, and that's what I trust Admiral Gilday, Acting Secretary Mobley, and all the other service chiefs and service leaders to do. And I'm confident we'll do that, because keep in mind, we have a job to do, and we will continue to do it, defend the United States of America.
Mr. President, you mentioned the stockpile earlier. The Washington Post reported today that the U.S. stockpile is nearly depleted of PPE. Is that the case?
Family,
And if so,
social
how
life,
can we
for your
make
neighborhood,
We're sending it
capitalism,
directly
state,
to hospitals. We
libertarianism,
don't want it to
country.
come to the stockpile, because then we have to take it after it arrives and bring it to various states and hospitals. One of the things, and again, we ask the states to do this as much as possible. Many of the
The
states
bigger you
have
get, the less you want.
people that, whether it's that or
Yeah.
clothing, they make clothing, lots of clothing in many of the different states. We said, see if you can get it directly from those manufacturers. Make a deal. We'll use the Purchase Act if we have to on them. If they won't, by the way, so many people are, the spirit is incredible what they're doing. But we've asked states where they have large manufacturers of different types of equipment to use those local factories, those local plants, and have it made directly, ship it right into the hospitals. We're shipping things right in. We have.
So it doesn't seem like he has very much news today. It doesn't seem like there's much going on. I don't know why they're even bothering to have one today. They're just trying to keep. I think they're just trying to keep momentum up, trying to keep the attention going. Like, I don't know. It seems pretty pointless today, honestly.
New York, wherever it may be. So we're ready for it. We're totally ready for it. We're going to be shipping out.
Thanks for following, Wretched Soul.
In today to different sites, different
Let
locations.
me.
But we have to have the flexibility of moving the ventilators to where the virus is going, and we'll be able to see that. We'll be able to see that from charts a couple of days in advance. So right now we have a nice pile of ventilators. We have a lot more coming in. We have I think we have 11 companies making ventilators right now. Very good companies, and they're making them. You know about Ford,
He's using
about
platform
General Motors.
to talk about what he wants to
companies
pursue,
making
right?
the ventilators right
I think
now.
he realizes now that all the eyes are on
question
him.
is,
But
when you make one, it doesn't get made in 15
ventilators.
minutes. It's not a mask can go quickly. A ventilator takes time to build. It's very, very, as we discussed, it's complex, it's big, it's expensive, et cetera. But we'll be able to move. We have great flexibility, John.
I was just going to say, sir, do you want to move on to solely coronavirus or stick with?
Yeah, I think if does anybody have any other questions for this great group of brilliant people? Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Question for Secretary Esper. Is the military personnel that's been...
He's visible, Biden's not. That's true. What's Biden been up to?
Is there any chance that they're planning to see at some point...
Wow, this guy's like 12 years old.
...treat or see COVID-19 patients?
Well, excuse me. As you know, we have the hospital ships currently deployed, one in L.A. and one in New York City. So they could be treating patients as they come in. We're taking precautionary measures to screen them beforehand to make sure that they're not exposed, if you will. Same with the military hospitals.
Why do you feel sad for Biden?
New York, Seattle, and other places. But the one thing we got to be careful of is that these are deployable assets. They are unique. So if we want to retain the ability to deploy military doctors, expeditionary military hospitals around the country, we got to preserve and protect them as best we can. That said, we remain completely available to assist as need be, as directed by FEMA, as the Vice President and the President ask us. That's what we commit to do, the American people, to help safeguard them and protect them through this virus.
So as part of that, will they be seeing...
Oops. This was him on MSNBC.
In China at the outset of this event, and when it all started in Wuhan province. I was the first one to call for the president way back in January 17th to take this seriously.
That's not a bad one. He definitely has been out of it.
Thanks for giving me the time.
Thank
so
you.
they don't wonder where I am.
Now I know.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. Have you seen this supercut of where he didn't even know what state he's in? Yeah, I've seen some of those. There's something going on with him for sure.
Blow, very positive blow for what they're doing. Going into Los Angeles, going into New York. So we're looking very seriously at building 2 additional ships of about the same size.
Building 2 new ones or deploying 2?
It'll either be, building.
What's
We're looking at
adrenochrome?
building either 2 new ones or doing the renovation of another large ship.
2 new ships,
This
okay.
has really worked out well, so probably 2 brand new ones.
So, Mr. President,
Is this concerning the gentleman, or do you want them, don't want them to get back to work and capture all those bad people?
A follow-up, Mr. President, or
Go ahead,
Mr.
sure, go
Secretary. I know that Secretary Wilkie has said he's on standby waiting to hear if VA hospitals need to be opened, the doors need to be opened to civilians.
True.
Are you talking about that?
Yes,
Could
we
we
are.
see that happen?
In
How
fact,
soon
certain
could that
hospitals,
happen?
yeah, can move very quickly. He's a very capable man. We're ready to move very quickly. As an example, in Louisiana, they have a very big hospital, so we're looking to move very quickly if we need them. Hopefully we won't need them.
Comfort.
Soon?
We're going to find out pretty soon. We're only going to know when, at the time it happens. We prepare for the worst.
How is Trump
We are
hasn't been
preparing for the
affected yet?
worst.
That's what I'm saying.
Unfortunately, that's the way we have to look
Somebody
at
in
it.
that room is going to get
Follow
it.
up on the purpose of these
There's so many
naval
people
ships. You mentioned something about treating trauma patients, and I'm just curious. What about things like giving birth? Would mothers be expected in New York, for example?
Well, as I
to do
understand,
this?
they're not doing that on the ship. That's the one thing they're not doing outside of the COVID-19. They're not doing that. The
pretty
birth of the
impressive.
baby not being done on the ships.
Hospital.
Okay. Can I have a follow-up question with Attorney General Barr, please? This
Some
this has to
supposedly
do
Illuminati-
with the visa restrictions on immigrant doctors.
Adrenochrome is a dumb fall meme that leads kill children to harvest
easing
their
the
adrenaline.
restrictions or waiving restrictions
Okay.
for doctors with J1 or H1
Let's check it
diseases,
out.
so they can help other doctors during this crisis?
Actually, the immigration laws are no longer under the administration of the Department of Justice, and I haven't been participating in any of those discussions.
What about you, Mr. President? Can you respond to that
One
question,
more for
Mr.
this group
President?
back here.
To Secretary Esper, the WHO, this is on the topic of coronavirus in Iran. The WHO confirms that Iran is vastly underreporting its coronavirus cases,
Tom
not
Hanks
just
has it.
cases, but fatalities. According to on-the-ground estimates, that might be as high as 15,500 deaths.
That's a good one.
32 commanders in the military in Iran are now confirmed either in dire condition or dead. You have 8% of the parliament now down with coronavirus. So is Iran's soundings of aggressions today that President Trump just tweeted about, do you think strategically, is that a bluff on their part, or is this a sign of very clear desperation? Where are you strategically on that?
Well, first and foremost, we empathize for the Iranian people. I mean, they
Adrenochrome
clearly
is
have
a
been
real
hit
thing,
hard.
though.
As you know, I think the president's spoken about it, certainly Secretary Pompeo. We've offered assistance, we've offered medical supplies, et cetera. They have refused that. I think if the Iranian regime put more interest in terms of taking care of their people, and
That's
in
the OAN
context of this
reporter,
virus,
yeah.
they would be better served. Instead, the Iranian regime continues to want to spread its malign activities throughout the region. They want to continue to send out the Quds Force and others to cause problems throughout the region. We know that in one way, shape, or form, they're either resourcing, directing, approving, or whatever operations for Shia militia groups in Iraq that are targeting American
Psychotic
forces. So
reactions.
I think at the end
What
of the
is it,
day,
though?
again, I feel deep concern for the Iranian people. The important thing is that the Iranian
Hunter
government should
Thompson
focus on
mentioned
them
it.
and stop this malign behavior that they've been conducting now for over 40 years. I think the entire region, and certainly the Iranian
What does it
people, would
do,
be
though?
better off for it.
And I happen to think they want to make a deal. They just don't know really how to start. And they've been given some bad advice by former Secretary Kerry.
Could cure
Some very bad
schizophrenia.
advice. And I really think they want to make a deal, which is the Logan Act, but would have to look at the Logan Act. All you have to do is take a look. I think they've been given very bad advice by Secretary Kerry. I think that
Johnny Depp got into it.
I think they're dying to make a deal. Look, their country's in trouble. Their economics are shot. They've got a lot of bad things going. I think they'd like to make a deal. They can get it
They're
settled
still,
very quickly.
they're
No
talking
nuclear
about
weapons. No nuclear weapons.
Iran. They're talking
Nuclear
about
weapons.
Iran
It's very
now.
simple. Okay, let's let these folks get back to work. Is that okay?
Well, now they're going to talk about coronavirus. They're doing it now. All right, what question would you ask Trump right now? What would the question, if you were in the room right now, what would you ask him?
So as we deploy our service members to combat both threats abroad, invisible enemy at home, earlier today I spoke to our nation's incredible warriors and military families. Spent a long time on the phone with thousands and thousands of families that were hooked in.
Yeah, you
In order
did.
to
You
stop
made
the
the
spread of the virus, some of these families have delayed planned moves to their next duty
The
station.
last part was pretty boring.
And in other cases, military families are also waiting longer to welcome
Why isn't
home the
sanctuary
heroes
relief
from
money even
deployment.
requested? They asked
There's
that
a
already.
tremendous burden to bear.
That's
and
already
the
bad,
families have
basically. Well, they
been
asked,
involved with
are
us
there
for
going to be
so
any
long, and
retaliation?
They are incredible. Without the families, they couldn't be
They didn't ask
the
him
great
that.
service members that they turned out to be, and they understand
And
that.
I forget what he said, but he was basically
And
like,
I
we
must
don't- we
say,
don't
protecting
know,
our
no.
military families
He-
is
he
our top
diverted it.
priority. So they understand what's happening with respect to the virus, and they understand it well. They've been fantastic. As Commander-in-Chief, I'm deeply grateful for our service members, their spouses, and their children, whose love, devotion, and sacrifice
I think he
keeps
really likes.
America
I think he's
strong.
liking this a little too much, right?
to
He's
make,
loving this,
procure, and
being
deliver
in front of
crucial
cameras for 2
medical
hours.
supplies to our doctors, nurses, and healthcare workers. My administration is leveraging the might
Like his
of
live
American
stream, basically.
manufacturing, supply chains, and innovators across the
I think he's going to start doing some
industry
weird
and across
shit.
every industry. And I just told you about Walmart, and I could tell you about many more. Hanes is making protective gear and masks. And
I mean, he
we're
already
making
has. Like, bringing the
tremendous
My
amounts
Pillow
of
guy
product.
up was weird, but
There's never been anything like it.
I think it's going to be
At the same time,
really
I tell
weird.
the governors, get it yourself if you can from your local companies and your local warehouses and factories. If you can do that, you should do that.
I don't know.
Because of the actions that we've taken
Props,
under the
more
Defense
props.
Production Act.
Yeah, he hasn't done any
manufacturers and
press
suppliers
conferences
are
this
sharing
whole time,
with FEMA
basically.
and HHS their planned orders and allocations to states and to hospitals all over the region. This enables FEMA and HHS to work closely with states, local governments, and private sector to allocate critical resources to highly impacted areas. Working together, we're entirely focused on getting materials to the right place at the right time. So we wanted to go directly to a hospital or directly to a certain state location, and ideally not even hit the state's warehouses. If we can avoid the warehouses, it's even better because they go directly into a hospital. And one example of that is Ohio, the great state of Ohio. Senator Rob Portman called today, and he asked for some help and got us, did a tremendous job, along with Mike DeWine, the great governor
What
of
positions
Ohio,
are you putting in place to
facilitate a
prevent
donation of
liberties across the- That's a
2.2
good
million
question.
gowns. 2.2 million gowns. Think of what that is. 2.2 million.
People's rights
To
are,
the
I
strategic
feel like,
national
probably being
stockpile from
violated right now. We
Ohio-based
don't know
Cardinal
about it.
Health. Cardinal Health, we appreciate it, and they're making much more than that and different types of things. We're profoundly grateful for
infrastructure,
their
that's his big
contribution to
jobs
protect the lives
plan,
and
right?
safety of our healthcare professionals. Cardinal's been working with us very well.
What do you think about this?
FEMA and HHS formed a historic partnership with the private sector called Project Airbridge to bring supplies from other countries to the United States, including gloves, gowns, goggles, and masks. These supplies will soon be distributed around the country. We have large cargo planes coming in from various parts of the world. Every day, new plane loads are landing in cities such as New York, Miami, Chicago, Los Angeles. Additional flights have been scheduled, and we're adding more and more. And they're actually coming in ahead of schedule. A lot of these flights are coming in with a lot of material ahead of schedule. The amount of usage, the amount of need is something that nobody's ever seen before.
Our
We're
rights
getting
being
so much,
violated.
but,
Well,
no matter how much we get, they seem to use it up. On Tuesday, the vice president sent a letter to the governors.
I don't
calling
know.
on them
I
to
think
have
we aren't seeing things like cops doing things they're not supposed to do.
from warehouses to hospitals. So a lot of times we'll deliver supplies to a warehouse in a state, someplace in New York or in New
Project
Jersey or
Airbridge.
in Connecticut or wherever it may be. And they're having difficulty getting it moved. So what we're doing, if we don't bring it directly to the hospital,
over?
is we've
What's over?
authorized, it was a special authorization, the National Guard to go into that facility and to move it for the state. So the National Guard is moving a lot of this
Director of the
equipment
largest
and
U.S.
medical
stockpile of
supplies
medical-
into a hospital or into an area where it's needed by the
Moving
state.
massive amounts of medical supplies.
As
from
I said
other
yesterday,
countries
difficult
to the
days are
United
ahead
States.
for our nation. We're going to have a couple of weeks, starting pretty much now, but especially a few days from now, that are going to be horrific. But even in the most challenging of times, Americans do not despair. We do not give in to fear. We pull together, we persevere, and we overcome, and we win. This week, every American heart is joined with the people of New York as they continue to bear the brunt of the pandemic. To every New Yorker, please know that we are by your side. I love New York. And every day we will be with you. And it could very well be that others take over from New York. There are some areas, some hot spots in other states that are really exploding. Some, like Louisiana, were very late. And then all of a sudden, it was like an explosion. In confronting this deadly plague, America is armed with capabilities never dreamed of in past centuries. You look at
Orban, I haven't seen
1917,
how
the
Orban
pandemic.
is handling
was
it. Made himself dictator
something
over
ravaged
coronavirus?
parts of this country, but ravaged Europe. Ravaged. They say 75 to 100 million. Some people say 50 to 75 million. People died. Think of that. And that was a long time ago, over 100 years ago. Many books written about the 1917, 1918 pandemic. Our doctors are poring over the virus, genetic code, designing potential therapies and vaccines. Our planes are airlifting supplies from every corner of the earth. We're watching other countries, and they're watching us to see whether or not and who's going to be the first to come up with a cure or a remedy of some kind, or even a help, if it can help. And, of course, a vaccine. We're looking very strongly for a vaccine.
This is what's
Johnson &
going
Johnson
on.
is doing well, and other companies are doing very well.
Orban.
But our most
Yeah.
powerful asset, our greatest weapon in this effort, is the spirit of our people. And we want to keep away, keep a distance, keep away. If you don't get it, it solves a lot of problems. If you don't get it,
You remaining
you can't
checks
get
and
it, you
balances
keep the
and keep hungry
distance.
will cease to exist.
American spirit is unyielding, unwavering, and unbreakable.
That doesn't sound good.
Incredible. I've never seen anything like it, the way the people have pulled together, the unity of this country.
And
So together
you know
we're
what I
going
really
to win
want?
this war, and the sooner we do,
I
the
really want a
sooner we can
bagel.
begin to
An
rebuild.
everything bagel.
And
I
we're
just have
ready
this
to
craving for
rebound
a
and
bagel.
return to normal lives. We went from the best economy in the history of the world, the best economy that this country has ever seen, the best employment numbers we've ever had. 160
died
million
in
people
Europe
working,
today?
almost 160 million. To a point where the professionals came to me
No.
and they say, "Sir, you're
I
going
want
to have
an
to
everything
shut the
bagel.
country down."
I wouldn't risk my.
What does that mean?
I wouldn't risk my life
So
for
we're
a
gonna have to shut it down.
L.A. bagel. Sorry.
And we're
Maybe
going to
New
build it
York.
up, and I think we're going to build it up fast. I think we're going to have a tremendous rebound. There's a great energy and a great pent-up demand. And as you know, Phase 3 was terrific, and Phase 4, what passed in Congress, and Phase 4, if that happens, will be great. I already proposed paying almost zero interest on bonds, and I proposed a $2 trillion infrastructure plan, which would not only fix our roads and highways and bridges and tunnels and other things, but will also do something very good. It's called jobs. I'm also asking that restaurants and entertainment facilities go back to the old deductibility from corporations, where corporations can buy, because otherwise a lot of
We'll
these
jail
restaurants
people
are
for
gonna have a
fake
hard time
news.
reopening. It takes a
Yikes.
long
That sounds bad.
and they're going to have a hard time reopening. So we're asking for going back to deductibility, where corporations can buy and corporations can go out to lunch and they pay and they get a deduction on what they
The
eat.
silver lining of
They
this
get
is
a
that Trump
deduction
hasn't
on the
tried to
bill,
do like a
and,
crazy power grab
same with
yet,
the
right?
entertainment. It's
If
gonna bring
anything,
a lot
it's
of people back. I
been the
think it'll open up
opposite.
The restaurant business, people forget that years ago they had that, and when they got rid of it, when they ended it for whatever reason, but they ended it, many restaurants went out of business. Many entertainment type facilities went out of
Trifle,
business.
yum.
And now's a great time to bring it back.
I don't even really know what that is, but it sounds good.
It was a terrible time for that business after they ended it, but this is a great time to bring it back. It'll keep our restaurants
Trifle.
going. In fact, I think the restaurant business will be actually bigger and better than it is right now. So we're also talking about that. And now what we'll do is we'll take some questions, and I see Mike is back with some of the folks. That's great, Dr.
Oh,
Fauci.
that's a trifle?
And,
Oh,
we
man.
will,
I want this.
Oh, how are you? Thank you, Deborah. So we'll take some
Dude.
questions and
Really?
we
You
make
made
progress
this?
day by day, please.
Mr. President, so yesterday you were talking about a friend you had who was in a coma.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear your friend's going through
Yeah, I
that.
want to hear about the coma guy.
You said this is no flu. There's still some people who kind of think of this as the flu, and over the past month, you've compared it to the flu sometimes, saying treat it like the flu, or what treated hail.
Yours doesn't look like that?
What changed your thinking on
What's
that?
it look like?
I think the severity. I think also in looking at the way the contagion, it is so contagious. Nobody's ever seen anything like this, where large groups of people all of a sudden, just by being in the presence of somebody, have it. The flu has never been like that, and there is a flu
Less
is
pretty.
contagious, but nothing.
I bet
like
it
we've
tastes
ever
good, though,
seen
right?
here. Also, the violence of it. If it hits the right person, and you know what those stats are, if it hits the right person, that person's in deep trouble. and my friend was the right person.
When you heard about that with your friend, like, was that a turning point?
Yeah,
in your
well, not a
thinking?
turning point. No, before that I knew how, because I'm seeing numbers and I'm seeing statistics that are, not exactly very good. So, but it hit him very hard. He's strong, a very strong kind of a guy, but he's older, he's heavier, and he's sort of central casting for what we're talking about, and it hit him very hard. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah, John?
Mr. President, and maybe this is a question as
Gamers
well
unite.
for Dr. Fauci. Senator Lindsey Graham tweeted
Right,
last
yeah,
night
let me know.
today that there are still
Put a
flights that are
picture
running
in the
to
Discord.
hotspots like New York and Detroit, New Orleans as well. A number of flights were completed
50% of the
today.
comments are
Senator
QAnon.
Graham's
It's true.
point is if you're going to declare mitigation, should it not be full mitigation and you stop people from traveling?
Well, we're thinking about doing that. At the same time, we just, to start these airlines and to start this whole thing over again is very tough, John. It's very tough. And you have them going, in some cases, from hotspot to hotspot. If you notice, they're usually hotspot to hotspot. Very few flights. New York
Round
to
trip,
Miami.
round trip, New York to LA.
And, but
$60.
We're certainly looking at it. But once you do that, you really are clamping down an industry that
You
we
think I got it?
desperately needed.
I coughed.
That calculation is to
Can't even
whether or not
cough.
you keep the industry afloat or you risk spreading to take.
That is okay.
I don't have it.
We're looking at
I mean,
we're looking at it.
feel
very
fine.
strongly, please.
So let me follow up to that, Mr. President. Not every governor has issued a stay-at-home order.
Who really
All
knows?
of you have made it very clear.
You don't
how
know.
important it is to stay home.
I can't get a
You're in
test.
Dire situation.
I want a test. I want one of those
And that's
tests.
How you stop the spread.
Just
Stay
tell
home.
me if I have it or
Why
not.
Take the power out of the hands of the governors, and you just issue a stay-at-home order for every
Because
state
states
in
are
this
different.
country.
States are different, and I understand.
No,
that
I don't have a fever.
Governor of Florida. Great
I don't even
governor,
really have a
Ron
cough. I
DeSantis,
always have a cough. I
issued
have like a
one today.
persistent cough that kind of gets worse in bed.
That's good. That's great. But there are some states that are different. There are some states that don't have.
I don't know if I'm good though. A
much
quarter
of
of
a
people
problem.
don't have
There are
any.
well, they don't have the problem. They don't have thousands of people
A couple.
that are positive.
A quarter of people don't have
Thousands of
any
people that even
symptoms.
Think they might have it, or hundreds of people in some cases.
That's
So,
what's scary about it. It's
you
like
have to
HIV,
look- you
right?
have to
Like
look at, say,
people don't have
Japan,
symptoms for a long time, so they just spread it and they don't know.
In the
There's a lot of
Midwest,
similarities, I think.
Alaska, as an example, doesn't have a problem. It's awfully tough to say, close it down. So we have to have a little bit of
You're
flexibility.
good anyways. You're staying
Look,
inside.
We're helping.
I am
others.
staying inside,
We're
but
really
I'm
helping
going
others.
to.
They're the front line.
I went grocery
We're
shopping.
doing
I had to
some
go grocery shopping.
By the way, we're here and we're backing them up. And there's
I
never been a
picked up
backup
some
like
food.
we've
I went to
given
Del
them. We've
Taco.
given them billions of dollars worth of things, medical supplies and ventilators, thousands and thousands of ventilators. We have thousands under construction right now. We have thousands ready to go in case they need it.
Post the
There's never been
future of
anything like
grocery
this. So
shopping.
we've-
Okay. Let me
they've
see
done
this.
Really, the people have done incredibly well.
3 hour
We're
droplets
hospitals
stay in the
all over
air.
country. We're
I don't
building
know.
Hospitals right now
Where'd you see that?
at a rate
I don't think that's true.
that has never even been contemplated before. They're mobile hospitals, but they're really not mobile. I mean, they're incredible structures. But we're building many hospitals. Louisiana, New Jersey, New York, we just finished a massive hospital complex. And we also have medical centers built in New York. I mean, we're building hospitals at the rate that this country has never done before. And hopefully it's all going to work
Oh,
out.
this one.
Follow up on defense,
Please go ahead.
Like
Yes,
this.
Mr. President, I just want to make
Stable
sure we're
for
clear
hours
on
on-
the planes.
on
Are you looking at
surfaces.
just curtailing routes between certain hotspots, or is it broadly?
Well, we're looking at the whole thing because we're getting into a position now where we want to do that. We have to do that, and so we're looking at the whole thing. Yes. So, and we may have some recommendations.
Rocky Mountain
Second question on
Laboratories. That's where they're studying this.
Just with oil prices are very low.
I wonder how
The
they-
Saudis have increased.
I wonder how they study this. I'd be interested in the facility they use to study.
Liking low oil prices,
study how
but
long
then
it
there's
lasts.
Also, the industry
It's like
aspect.
from 1950, these oil prices, and that's when they had big dollars, big beautiful dollars.
So, do you advocate cuts? Do you advocate cuts to production? Do you?
Well, look, we have a great oil industry, and the oil industry is being ravaged. And as you know, Russia, and I spoke to President Putin. We had a great
Drive-through
call.
supermarket?
Russia,
No.
Saudi Arabia. I spoke with the Crown Prince, so we had a great call. But
That's horrible.
I, think that
I don't
they
wanna
will
do
work
this.
it out over the next few days. If you ask me, I think it's just It's too simple not to be able to.
Oh my
We both know
God!
what
And then
they
you just like put
have
it
to
in
do.
and it comes
so
down.
I think I have confidence in both that they'll be able to work it out. But it's
Nightmarish vision. I agree with
it
this
has
guy.
ravaged an industry worldwide, not here. I mean, worldwide, the oil industry has been ravaged. So there was a lot of
Dude,
oil
this is a
production
joke.
to start off with,
This
and then
is
on
a
top
joke.
of it, it got hit with the virus, and business went down 35-40%. So that business is a tough one, and you know they have ships all over the sea. I told you yesterday, all over the sea, massive tankers that they're using for storage. They go out and they just sit there.
Quality meets idiocracy.
There's no place
right?
to go. They have massive amounts now. Gasoline's going to be 99 cents a gallon and less. You know that. That's already starting. It's popping up. 99 cents.
That's not bad.
So that's like giving
Silver
a
lining
massive
there.
tax cut to people of our country. When we try and get the airlines going, if fuel is costing much less, it helps with getting the airlines, which is always
That's so
a tough business,
depressing.
always has been a
I'd
tough
rather
business.
get coronavirus than do
But with
that.
that being said, look, I want to get that industry back where it was. We were doing records in that industry also. We want to get it back to where it was. So I think that
These are just
Saudi Arabia,
they're just
Russia,
doing this.
they're
Oh yeah.
negotiating, they're talking, and I think they'll come up with something. I'm going to meet with the oil companies on Friday.
That shows how it.
I'm going to meet with independent oil producers also on Friday or Saturday, maybe Sunday. But we're having a lot of meetings on it. I think I know what to do to solve it. But if they're unable to solve
You
it,
order food
then I think I
online?
know what to do to solve it.
All delivery slots
Well,
are still
we
not
won't mention
choices.
it now, but it's tough.
I heard that it's very hard.
I think I know what to do. We don't want to lose our great oil companies. You know, we're the #1 producer of oil in the world.
I heard that it's
And a month ago when you said that it was great. Today when you
I
say
heard that
it's
it's
not so,
hard to order
but
groceries online. I haven't done it. I haven't tried it.
Can be solved or pretty
I
well
haven't.
solved, and I'd rather not do
I don't
that.
like the idea of ordering groceries. I don't know. It just creeps me out a little bit. I've never done it. I don't want to start.
Because it's very bad for Russia. It's very bad for Saudi
I mean,
Arabia.
even though I'm sort of an ideal person because I don't order that many groceries, and I know I get pretty much the same thing every time.
It's a wonderful thing. It's amazing how it can work. But I think they're going to make a deal. Yeah. Yeah, please, with that.
Mr. President, a couple of questions, one for you, one for Mr.
You work for
Wolf, if
Amazon
possible.
Fresh?
Over 5 million immigrants in this country.
They've hired significantly more workers.
IT numbers, yet there was
Incredibly unsafe though. There's usually 4 to 5 people speaking. Yeah.
no undocumented immigrants
Did you go on strike? Didn't they have that strike?
from the government during this crisis. How do you suppose they survive during the COVID-19?
Well, you know, you're saying undocumented, meaning they came in illegally. And a lot of people would say we have a lot of citizens.
Why aren't you working now, neat loser?
So, what are you going to do? It's a tough thing. It's a very sad question. I must be honest with you. But they came in.
You don't work today?
And
You feel unsafe doing it?
People that are citizens of
I was
our
reading
country
about
won't
that.
Be able to have jobs. Now, I do think once we get rid of the virus, I think we're going to have a boom economy. I think it's
All the
gonna go
Instacart
up
people went.
rather quickly, maybe very quickly, and maybe slowly, but it's going to go
Went on
up.
strike.
And
There were
it'll all
50
come
people
back.
in it?
And I think
Jesus.
it's actually going to come back stronger than what it was because of the stimulus. But it's a really sad situation, and we are working on it. I will tell you, I'm not going to give you a hard and fast answer because I just want to tell you it's something I think about, and it's something we're working on. Please.
Mr. Wolf?
Go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. President. Question for Dr. Fauci.
You work in the U.S.?
Looking beyond when we're on the other side of this curve, are we looking at living with some sort of social distancing guidelines, essentially until there's treatment or a vaccine, for example?
Oh, there's a lot out
people
there, too.
Looking forward to the summer, talk about going to baseball games, going to concerts. We have political.
I was thinking
conventions
about
over
doing
the summer.
something about.
Are things like that possible or safe without a vaccine or a treatment in place?
Yeah, I think if we get to the part of the curve that Dr. Burke showed yesterday, when it goes down to essentially no new cases, no deaths at a period of time, I think it makes sense that you're going to have to relax.
SD cools. What are you talking about?
The one thing we hopefully would have in place, and I believe we will have in place, is a much
1.5
more
miles from the
robust
rest
system
farm.
to be able to identify someone who's infected, isolate them, and then do contact tracing. Because if you have a really good program of containment that prevents you from ever having to get into mitigation, We're in mitigation right now. That's what the social and physical distancing is. The ultimate solution to a virus that might keep coming back would be a vaccine. In fact, I was on the weekly conference call with the WHO-sponsored group of all the health leaders in the world who are dealing with this.
Not
And
buying
we all
it,
came
man.
to the agreement that we may have cycling with another season.
Go back
We'll be
to
much better
4chan.
prepared. We likely will have interventions. But the ultimate game changer in this will be a vaccine, the same way a vaccine for other diseases that were scourges in the past that now we don't even worry about.
And Tony, how are they doing with the vaccine stuff?
I mean, the vaccine is, as I said, it's on target. We're still in phase 1. There were 3 doses that we had to test. We've been through the first 2 doses. We're on the highest dose now. When we get that data, it'll take a few months to get the data to feel confident to go to the phase 2. And then a few months from now, we'll be in phase 2. And I think we're right on target for the year to a year and a half.
And do you mind me asking, you and Dr. Birx, have either of you received threats of any kind, or have you been given a security detail?
Fauci
given
putting
you've
out
been
bad
here
information.
every
Threats.
day on camera speaking?
Well, I mean, anything that has to do with security detail, I'd have to have you refer that question to the Inspector General of HHS rather than my answer that.
Can I follow up on testing?
He doesn't
Dr.
need
Fauci?
security, everybody loves him.
Can I follow up on testing,
Besides that,
Dr.
they'd be in
Fauci?
big trouble if they ever attack. You know, he was a great basketball player. Did anybody know that? He was a little on the short side for the NBA, but he was talented. He won a game, I read the story, he won a game that was unwinnable against a great team. And his whole team said, we can't beat this team, and he went in and they won the game, right? That was a couple of years ago. But
Oh my God.
the head never changes. The attitude never changes.
Could I ask Dr. Fauci?
Yes, please.
I know he loves being up behind the podium.
He
so
does.
much. Like pulling teeth, like going to the dentist. I don't want to hit you with everything that's coming along, but a lot of people who are watching television today heard from a researcher named Dr. Jacob Granville, who's come up with a potential antibody therapy that he has given to USAMRIID. Just wanting to know if you know anything about this, what you might be able to tell people at home about it who have seen it.
You know, John, I don't know specifically this
baseball player? I
individual
didn't know
what they're
that.
doing, but I can tell you there's a lot of activity that is centered around
What guy on Joe
the passive
Rogan?
transfer of antibodies in the form of convalescent plasma.
This guy they're talking about was on Joe Rogan?
Immune globulin that you precipitate out of the plasma, and another is monoclonal antibody. It's
me see a
based
link.
on the same principle of if you have a protective antibody, passive transfer of that could provide not only protection prophylactically, but also treatment.
Joe
This
Rogan
is an
driving
old
the news
concept.
cycle.
In fact, immunology was born decades and decades and decades ago with the concept of giving passive transfer of serum to an individual to protect them from an infection. So I wouldn't be surprised if he and a number of other people are pursuing this. It's the right thing to do.
Can I follow up on antibody testing, please, Dr. Fauci? At what point can we as a country expect there to be a widespread antibody
Somebody
testing?
put
we
in the
know
Joe
exactly
Rogan
what
clip.
we're dealing with
I wanna
here,
see this.
as well as other questions such as, when can people who are deemed to be healthy donate blood,
Zaddy.
for example?
Okay.
Somebody over
So
here
when
was
you talk
talking shit
antibody
about
testing,
Fauci.
There are a couple of things that you want to do. You want to find out
Put out bad
if
information.
someone has been
Strategic
infected
reasons to make
and
sure
whether or
doctors
not
and
they're
nurses
going to
had masks.
ultimately
Oh,
wind
right.
up being protected. Antibody testing right now is not the first thing on our priority. It's something that we need to do is testing to see if someone is infected. It is very important ultimately to be able to get a feel for what the penetrance of the infection was in society for a number of reasons. You get a better feel of what the impact had been, but also you get a better feel of what the herd immunity would be. So I can foresee in the future that when we get the facility, which
Now,
we'll
this is-
have
this
for
is a
sure.
different guy.
I mean,
Dr.
ultimately,
Peter
you can get a
Hotz.
test that could do this reasonably easy and do the kind of what we call serosurveillance study. This is very analogous.
What's
to Dr.
CCP,
Birx and I were
though?
talking about that a lot. And that is back in the day when she and I were both
I got it,
doing
guys.
the
I
HIV
got it.
AIDS
Clip
issues
all
back
these.
when we first
And then when I get it, you
discovered
can be
virus
like, you can
in
do
we had
a
an antibody test in 1985.
a retrospective,
We found
like
out by
against sad
serial
music.
surveillance, representative in different
We saw the
populations,
signs.
that we were dealing with the tip of the iceberg when we saw individuals who were the ones who actually got infected. It gave us a really good feel for how many people were infected, how many are doing well, and how many are getting ill. I foresee that we'll have that same
Why?
sort of information.
What about HIPAA?
Which will be important
I know about HIPAA.
information. But right now, that's not an immediate problem.
I don't have corona.
Your priority, but can you give a sense of whether what happened this year?
Let me just follow up with that because I think, as I discussed before, we had I just want to thank all the epidemiologists and scientists out there who worked with us over the last 4 weeks on models. They really, many came forward and really supported us. Right now, we're in talks with a whole series of universities. We have the most brilliant scientists in the world.
They can
in our
discuss the lack of
universities
equipment.
and
Well, they
states
can't
and
talk about
states.
individual patients.
Some of them public health
Can
universities.
people clip
some
your
of them
mixer? I don't know.
Basic science.
Can they?
All of them have received NIH grants for HIV or other development
Is that a
of
setting?
assets in the past. I've talked to a lot of them over the last few days to really ask them
Need to be verified or
develop
partner.
these simple ELISA tests that could be used rapidly in their healthcare centers. Because
I need a partner.
immediately, it's easy to do. We've all developed ELISAs. So in a day or two after development, they could screen their entire hospital. I think that would be very reassuring to the healthcare workers who have been on the
I do
front
have a
line
verified
worry
Twitter,
about
yes.
them every day. And so I've really called on every university and every state to develop ELISAs. You can buy the antigens and the controls online.
I could get verified
and
on
really
Mixer?
work
All
to
right.
test entire healthcare communities in your states and support them that way. At the same time, we worked in sub-Saharan Africa on what we call dry blood spots.
just
So
came
we're
out
looking
today, huh?
at could you use that in a community while we work on the point of care test, where you just dot
China's been
blood
still
onto
extent
this
underreporting
paper,
total cases
and then
and
that
deaths.
can go into the lab and be analyzed. That would allow us to look in nursing homes and other long-term care facilities immediately. And then finally, we've reached out to the developers of the rapid test, the ones who developed it for malaria, the ones that
Oh, I had
developed
another
it for
run in
HIV.
Ki-
It's exactly
with
the
Kim.
same
Somebody sent me that
concept
that
and
clip. I
process
didn't watch it,
to
but
ask them to rapidly
it's hard for
develop
everyone
these
now.
tests.
You know, I don't know if you guys are in a relationship, but this is a hard time for everybody's relationships. I think. I was reading an article, but I'll apply for it.
And I think really being
I think
able to
everybody's
tell
having a
them the
little
peace of
little
mind that will
tension.
come from knowing you already were infected, you have
Plan to
antibody,
blame China.
you
What's
see
all a
the
plan?
reinfection 99.9% of the
This
time.
the
And so this I think would
coronavirus.
be very reassuring to our frontline healthcare workers, and our universities can do that by Friday. So I'm putting that challenge out to them to
They are
really
saying
work
it's
on
from a
that
bat.
and do that. That's what we did in the early days. We had ELISAs up and running within days of having the antigen. And so
Neat loser, are you on
this is
Discord?
what's really possible.
Can you
So we're not waiting.
Can you add me on Discord? I want to talk. I want to ask
happen
you about
soon, even
Amazon
within
Fresh.
this
I'm
month,
curious
if
about.
It
people
could
take up
happen
that
soon
challenge?
within this month
Curious
if
about
the
Amazon Fresh.
universities help us. Absolutely.
Mr. President, on Florida, Governor DeSantis says that he spoke with you before issuing his
He
stay-at-home
did,
order.
spoke to me this morning.
Okay, DM me on Twitter. Yeah.
Loopholes in that for
That I don't know, he spoke to me this morning, he
for
knows what he's
religious
doing.
events, for example,
Very good
large
governor.
religious groups can meet together. Now that doesn't really agree.
Who can?
Religious groups,
I
like
didn't speak
churches
to him
can meet.
about it, but he did speak to me this morning, we talked about it, please.
Full mitigation, sir. Does that go against your model? Because that's not full
I
mitigation.
don't know, I'd have to look at what he did.
Back to the healthcare workers on the front lines, following up with Dr. Birx as well. Hazard pay. You have said you have wanted that for the healthcare
CCP
workers
loves
on
this.
the
I
front
sincerely
lines.
doubt that.
Secretary Mnuchin has mentioned
Look,
something
I'll
about
apply
that
here.
possibly in
I
the
like it.
fourth level of the stimulus
I
package.
like it.
But can you make it happen now? Do we have to wait for a fourth
Well,
stimulus?
I think it's something we're discussing in terms of bonus or bonus pay. It doesn't have to be called hazard pay, it could be called, hey, look, I watch those people go
I'll
into
apply.
hospitals that I know. I talked about one of them, right? But I watch them walk into those hospitals.
Celebrity. That's what I am,
And they walk
right?
in Men, women, young, middle-aged, not so many older ones. And I watch them, they're almost like, and I think I take the word almost out, they're like warriors. They're going in. People are cheering. Where there's a building across the street,
I
the
don't know, do
people
I
are
have one?
screaming, they're clapping, they're like heroes.
The Empire State
No,
Building.
no, I will tell you, I think it's incredible. They're like warriors. They're like soldiers. And we're
Okay, I
gonna
think I have
do
everything.
something for them. So whether it's bonus, because you know, we're hopefully gonna be over this relatively quickly. It's gonna be vicious for a period of time. But hopefully we're gonna be over this You have a lot of questions today.
Oh, I gotta
Look
wait
at
here.
you. You know this young lady behind you?
Never met her before in my life.
We're practicing social distancing.
That's good. That's a good
Makes
idea.
our marriage strong.
That's good for a marriage, right?
There are a lot of people who are worried about getting sick, and do they end up in a hospital? People who are uninsured, and will they be crushed by medical bills?
Okay, so
You
I
were
gotta. I'll
considering
switch the.
last
I'll
month-
switch
last
the
month already in
link
March,
to Twitter then.
reopening the healthcare.gov exchanges. There has been a determination not to do that. Could you tell us what the rationale was behind that
Okay, you
decision,
might-
and what would
Yeah.
you have as an alternative?
Okay, they took that up under the task force, and maybe, Mike, you want to say a few words about that?
Oops.
Words about that?
I like it,
Thank you,
right
Mr.
one.
President. And what I can tell you is that the President has made a priority from the
Oh, I
outset
just linked. I linked my
of our task force work. Make sure every American knows that they can have a coronavirus and they don't have to worry about the cost.
Yeah.
We were very inspired.
We need to do that.
Because of the President's engagement with the leading health insurance companies in the country, that now, so
I think I got
far,
everything.
2 of the top health insurance companies in America have announced that they're not only willing to waive
Offline
copays on
photo.
testing,
Offline photo.
and now testing is fully covered because of the bill the President signed for every
Can I
American.
have an offline photo?
But also that these 2 insurance companies have waived copays on all coronavirus treatment. And I can assure you that as Congress and the President and the administration begin to discuss the next piece of legislation, we're
I'm
going to
following
make
the
sure
rules.
that Americans have those costs compensated and covered. Our priority right now is
What guy?
is ensuring that every American takes
I'm
30
fine.
days to slow
Celebrity.
the spread
He
to
got-
heart.
if he got verified, I'll
The
get
best thing
verified.
we can do for one another, for our family's health, for the most vulnerable among us, is practice those mitigation strategies that the President outlined yesterday for the next 30
Personal
days.
business
We're dealing with
organization's
testing to make
website.
sure that every American can have a test.
How established my
needs
brand
one.
is.
We're dealing with supplies, and we're making great
How
progress
established is
in
my
building
brand?
personal protective equipment and ensuring that ventilators are available, particularly
I
for
should
the
have a
communities
personal
most
website.
impacted. But the American people can be confident that as we move into this, we're going to make sure that our healthcare workers are properly compensated
Instagram.
for their extraordinary and courageous work. And we'll
private
make
on
sure
Instagram.
that the financial burden on those who end up contracting the coronavirus and dealing with its most serious symptoms also can deal with those issues and deal with those costs.
Understood, Mr. Vice President, but there will be people who don't have insurance who get sick before any of these mitigation efforts are put into place.
they've
And
had it
without
on
opening the
pending.
healthcare exchanges, where can they find insurance? People who aren't insured by these companies that are covering the cost of the copay, where can people go now to get health insurance if they get sick, before they get sick?
Well, all across America, we have Medicaid for underprivileged Americans. And at the President's direction, the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services has given unprecedented waivers for states to expand coverage for coronavirus testing and treatment. We've also extended waivers for Medicare administration
get
to make sure that people
articles.
have access to that
Press
coverage.
releases.
But we're going to continue to bring opportunities to the President.
Other
the
social media
traditional systems of
profiles.
Medicaid, in
Yeah, I know,
particular,
what the heck?
for the uninsured
I'm not gonna give them
in
my
America.
Twitch link.
Could you expand that to cover middle class people?
Well, I think what we're seeing health insurance companies do
I am
is really
impressed.
inspiring. I mean,
I have written
one of the things
President, I'm
that,
sorry
one
to
of the
belabor
things
a
that's
point, but that's for
characterized
people-
the President's approach
for
here.
people
I've
who already
written
have insurance.
Well, one of the
widely
things that's-
read
that
articles
is animated and
for the New
characterized the
Yorker,
President's approach
New York Times.
is the way he's engaged American
Wired.
businesses to step up
All right, I will.
and do their part. And as the President said many times, we're inspired by the spirit of American businesses. I was at a distribution center for Walmart today in Southern Virginia.
Like here?
And I saw the way this company that literally has already hired thousands of people. These workers are coming to work, the truck drivers are coming to work, farmers are working in the field.
I'll
Grocery
link this
stores made
one.
a commitment to the President a month
This
ago that
one.
no grocery store in America would close down. The food supply is strong. We're getting food on the table of every American. But it's
And-
because the President went to these leaders and said, we need you to step up and do your part. We engaged health insurance executives early on in this process to waive copays on coronavirus testing. And because of the engagement,
They'll be
frankly,
moved by
because
my
of
writing. I
that-
don't think so.
That patriotic and
I am.
compassionate spirit that's being reflected.
I am coming,
We've already
bruv,
seen
I
two
am
of the
coming out
largest
with a book.
insurance companies in the country announce that they're going to be providing full coverage,
Anybody
free of
interviewed
charge
me?
for coronavirus treatment. I fully expect, I think as the president does too, that we'll see more of that for people that
Here's
have
the interview I
insurance.
did.
We'll continue to provide flexibility for Medicaid for people that don't have insurance. And we'll make sure that Medicare has the flexibility to meet this
Did this
moment.
interview here.
For seniors, when we remember that seniors with underlying health conditions are the
I do the Hideo
most
Kojima one?
vulnerable to serious outcomes from the coronavirus. But we'll get through this using the full weight of the federal government and the full strength of the American economy.
John, I think it's a very fair question, though, and it's something we're really gonna look at, because it doesn't seem fair. If you have it, you have a big advantage, and at a certain income level you do. I think it's one of the greatest answers I've ever heard, because Mike was able to speak for 5 minutes and not even touch your question. I said, that's what you call a great professional. But let me just tell you, you really are.
I have never worked for the CIA, no.
I mean, just in terms of a fair question or not, I always endeavor to ask fair questions, but this is a huge worry for people in this country who are in that donut hole. They don't have commercial insurance, they don't qualify for Medicaid. What do
They're
they
a
do?
certain group, and it's a pretty big group. We're looking at it.
I mean, we spent the entire 2000 election talking about the donut hole, and it's still there.
We are, I haven't been up there yet, though, you know, the other people have been talking about it.
No, I mean,
And they haven't
2000
spoken.
This was 20 years ago we were talking about it.
But they're talking about it, they're talking about it. I know, but they're
Okay, I'm
talking
gonna
about
submit
it in
it.
the 2020
Here we go.
election too, and nobody's gotten to it. Nobody's talked about it at all.
Mr. President?
I think we will, yeah. I think
Tonight.
I think we're gonna get to it. I don't think the other group will get to it. They haven't even spoken about it. And it's a big
The
group of
donut
people.
hole is the.
Are you committing that there's
No, I'm
something
not
you're
committing,
gonna
but it's
do? Or
something
for
we're
the
gonna look at. I can't
uninsured?
commit, I have to get
Uninsured.
approval from it. I have a thing called Congress.
I got
But
this.
it's something we're gonna look at, and we have been looking at.
In the, you mentioned in this congressional bill, the sort of phase 4, you would like to see something
If there
put
is
in
a phase
there.
4, but we're certainly looking at certain things. We want to help restaurants, entertainment, we want to help, because it's jobs, not that restaurants, it's jobs, tremendous amounts of jobs. So we're looking at that, we're looking
No,
at
they're talking about
infrastructure,
this.
and we, think of it, we will have spent $8
Gap in
trillion
coverage for prescription drugs
way
for people
back,
on
way
Medicare.
back.
So I'm guessing
We
we're
will
not.
spend $8 trillion in the Middle East, and yet our roads are in bad shape, our bridges, our tunnels, bad shape, and we're going to be the talk of the world again soon. But we want $2 trillion. We will have spent in the Middle East.
Tell me about
and
it.
all we got out of it was death.
We need Medicare for
and
all.
cost. But all we got out of it was death. Millions of people. You have to look at the other side too. Millions and millions of people killed. Our great soldiers, thousands killed, so many wounded, hurt. And yet when we want to go and fix a
Well,
road
17,000
someplace, we
is
wanna do
very
what we wanna
little
do.
amount of money.
You know,
That's
it's
like
time that we
poverty.
spend money on our
Only
country. That's
the
what we're
poorest
doing.
people.
It's time that we start spending on our roads and our bridges and our schools and all of the things that we're supposed to be spending on. And people are finally getting used to it. And you could look at all of what we've done in the Middle East, way back in so many different places, way back in other countries too, by the way. And I've gone to other countries that are very rich. I said, I'm
Scary since
sorry,
your
you're going to have
country
to
is so big,
reimburse us
right.
for our costs. They don't even want to know what I'm talking about. It takes them 20
Wait
minutes
times.
to figure it out because nobody's ever asked them to do that. And
I
they're
think
doing
I'd
it.
rather go for wait
They're
times
doing
than,
it, and
than
they have
be
no
uninsured
choice. They
and
have to do it.
go bankrupt
So,
because they don't have.
It's
insurance.
time that we start spending on the USA. Okay, please.
Mr. President, this is a question for the Vice President. On March 9th, you said 1 million tests had been delivered and another 4 million would be delivered by the end of the week. That clearly did not happen. What happened with those projections? What went wrong?
Well, I think the test kits were delivered according to HHS, but the difference is between receiving a test and the ability to rapidly produce a result of that test. And frankly, because of the public-private partnership that the President initiated now more than a month ago with our massive commercial laboratories across the country, our team was reported today that we're now doing more than 100,000 tests a day. More than 1.2 million tests have been performed. States have
So there weren't that
established
many.
drive-through sites
That's a
all
pretty
across the
small
country. In
percentage
fact,
that are positive.
states have been so successful with the community-based and drive-through testing that we're working to transition over completely all of the federal work on drive-through testing and have the states completely manage that process. But
We're doing great. I don't think we're doing enough, though. Are we doing enough?
HHS was very busy from early in the year delivering test kits around the country. But the difference was, as the President said many times, we had an antiquated system where a state laboratory or CDC only had the capacity to process 40 to 60 tests a day.
I'll be right back.
Now with the commercial labs, literally those labs are processing tens of thousands of tests every day. And so while we're continuing to distribute test kits around the country, now because of the partnership with companies like Roche and Quest and LabCorp, the American people are seeing the results of those tests more rapidly than at any point in the past, and we expect that will continue to expand.
Uh-oh. What happened to my internet?
But the exciting news this weekend about Abbott Laboratories having a 15-minute test approved is going to put us in a position,
Sorry, I don't know
we
what's...
believe, down the road to get to where Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx want us to be for many of the states that don't yet have significant outbreak. There's some 19 states where we don't have significant outbreak, but we want to be doing the kind of surveillance testing in those states that will allow us early on to identify people with the coronavirus, do what the experts call contact tracing, and ensure that in that state we don't have an outbreak of the coronavirus. So,
in many countries all over the world, I don't know whether or not they can use, especially our new test that was just developed by Abbott, which is almost instantaneous, which is going to be great. And remember this: the word is we inherited bad tests. Literally. Inherited bad tests. These are horrible tests. And it was broken. It was all broken. And we fixed it. And we're doing millions of tests. Sometimes we send out a test and it's not used. In many cases, it wasn't used. But we've worked with the states, and the testing has been pretty amazing, especially considering the fact that we inherited a very broken system. Jeff?
Mr. President, just to follow up on something you said before, are you considering...
Yeah, I know. I think it's okay now. Sorry.
I am looking at...
This thing on?
Hotspots. I am looking where flights are going into hotspots. Some of those...
you think?
Some of those flights...
I don't think it's the chat. You think that this chat is making my internet
every single
stop?
flight on every single airline. That's a very, very, very rough decision. But we are thinking about hotspots where you go from spot to spot, both hot. And we'll let you know fairly soon.
And what about rail travel?
A similar thing. We have trains going back and forth, and people don't think of trains, but we do a lot of transportation business. It's a very big decision to do that. And we're pretty late in the process from the standpoint that this is starting. You're going to start seeing, I think, over the next couple of weeks, you're going to start to see us hit a top and start coming down. So we'll make those decisions. Those are very, very big decisions from the standpoint of the future of our country, in a way, in the future of our country.
I love this game. Game looks kind of cool.
We have to get our country back. We have to start moving again. We have to start working again. They're doing tests on airlines, very strong tests for getting on, getting off. They're doing tests on trains, getting on, getting off. But when you start closing up entire transportation systems and then opening them up, that's a very tough thing to do.
There continues to be a lot of public confusion about the use of masks. What is the
The
White
reuse. I love the sterilization of the mask. So, Ohio company, you can sterilize the N95. You can
I don't want to try this again.
sterilize that mask for up to 20 times. Think of that, up to 20 times. We're throwing them out, and they're very expensive masks. They're throwing them out. And I kept saying, one of the first questions I
going
asked
back and forth?
Dr.
What do you
Fauci, I
mean?
said, why aren't they sterilizing or cleaning the masks? Because I didn't, was it my thing exactly when we first heard about this? Nobody else knew it either. And now we have a company, and I guess a number of companies, one in Ohio, a great one, that makes equipment where you can sterilize a mask up to 20
Hey everybody,
times,
it's
which
Party
is
Elite, and
fantastic.
today we're taking a
You or
look
me,
at...
what about the public? Should we be wearing masks out? We've heard lots of different recommendations.
I don't believe, look, there's a big thing, a lot of people don't like it. Some people don't like it because you're taking it away from the medical professionals. Some people don't like it.
Well, you're
for
supposed
other
to change
reasons.
it.
I don't see where
Ideally,
it hurts.
I think.
And it doesn't have to be a mask. It can be a scarf. Scarf is highly recommended by the professionals. I don't see where it hurts. I think, frankly, if people wanted to do it, we don't want to do anything that's going to take masks. You're talking about a tremendous amount of masks when you do that. We don't want to take them away
knight's
from our
armor
medical
as a
professionals,
hazmat suit? What
but
do you
I
mean?
certainly don't see it hurting. But what I do see people doing now is using scarves. And I think in a certain way, depending on the fabric, I think in a certain way a scarf is better. It's
It's
actually
cool.
better.
I'll probably wait. It's in our early access. I might as well wait.
President, I wanted to ask you about social distancing and how it applies to religious organizations.
Park off.
Some churches, as you know, have continued to hold services, even though you have advised people that they need to practice social distancing. There was a pastor of a mega church in Florida over the weekend who held services that were attended by several hundred people. So my question to you is, should pastors be holding services in the middle of this pandemic? And even if they do, should Americans be
Scarves,
Well,
they
my
say
biggest
work.
disappointment
Scarves, they
is
say are
that
better than
churches
nothing.
can't meet in a time of need. This is really a great time for churches to be together, for people to get together on a Sunday or whenever, any day, and meet. And yet, if you do that, if you do it close, you're really giving this invisible enemy a very big advantage. So it's the biggest, I think the single biggest disappointment is one of the reasons I said, wouldn't it be great just to pick a date as, I called it aspirational, an aspirational date would be useful. And I will tell you, it's very, very disappointing. But again, you get too close, and if somebody's sick, you're going to probably catch it. So you have to be very careful.
Did they catch it?
Yeah, just real quickly, Joe Biden's
I've
campaign
got
came
it.
out with a statement today saying
Sleepy.
that
I've got it.
Biden would be.
Did he
open.
write the statement, or did some PR person write
As
it?
far as I know, the campaign was wide awake, sir, and they sent out a
Good.
statement that
For a
Joe
change.
Biden would be open to having a phone call with you to talk about the coronavirus
That's
pandemic.
okay, sure.
Would you take his call? Would
Oh,
you
absolutely.
Why?
Would you talk to him
I'd
about
love to
it?
speak.
Why does Joe Biden want to talk to fucking Trump about this?
He should be able
Together.
Idiotic.
I always found him to be a nice guy. I don't know him very well, frankly, but I think
What
he's
is
probably
Biden
You know,
doing?
he'd like to call. I'd absolutely take his call. Okay, you could tell him.
You have talked about the failings of the Obama administration in leaving you with empty shelves and no plans.
Well,
They have
and
said
no
you got-
ammunition,
They have
and
said you
maybe
got
no
rid of the
ammunition.
pandemic office and the National Security Council.
We didn't do that. That turned out to be a false story. Now you're starting to go. What are you working for CNN?
I'm pointing out what they have said and what you have
Good
said.
you were
That's
with
all.
Fox. Fox isn't so easy either. Don't kid yourself.
President, this is not
Hey, look,
about-
John,
this is
let me
not
tell you
about
something.
Fox or CNN.
You know that's a
This is about
false
statement.
story. What you just said is a false story. This doctor knows it better than anybody. No, but you shouldn't be repeating a story that you know is false.
What was the story?
All right,
I
who-
missed it.
Who's next? Please, go ahead. In the back, you didn't get it.
Talk about Iran, and Iran is struggling with the virus.
It's very
and
sad what's happening in
a
Iran.
broken economy. Under which conditions would you consider suspending, saying, U.S. sanctions?
Well, look, we have to talk to them. I think we could work out a deal with Iran very quickly. All they have to do is call. I just
All right,
think that,
Purple.
they're proud
Thanks.
people, and the leadership is proud. They're proud, like all of us. We're proud. You people are proud. They're having a hard time picking up the phone, or they're having a hard time setting up the meeting. But they could fix their country.
I don't write
pretty
fake
easily.
news. I don't write news.
And we don't want hostility. But if they
I
are
write stories.
hostile to us,
Okay?
they're
Get
going
it
to
straight.
regret it like they've never regretted anything before. as per today's
They
statement.
should raise. They
All
should.
they have to do is call.
They
or
should
have somebody
restrict
call.
or lift the
there are
sanctions
channels where
now.
we can deal
They
very
need
easily.
medicine.
Again, I think that John Kerry did a tremendous disservice.
No, I write
think he
stories.
violated the Logan Act 100%. That's what I think.
They're not news.
And I think it made it tough for them
Call
because
Paul
they
and
were
tell him to
dealing
wake
with
the
him for
fuck up.
years. It was a
All right.
terrible deal. All of that money, $150
I'll try to call
billion
him.
plus cash, plane loads of cash for a deal that was no good. And
Has
it was
he been
short-term.
streaming?
Essentially, it was a short-term deal. Who makes a deal for that kind of money? And $1.8 billion in cash. I don't even know what that would look like. That would be, this room would have to be filled up
They don't care
5
about
times
Corona.
with $100
Yes, they
bills,
do.
okay? Who makes a deal like this? And then on top of it, the deal's no good. All right, how about one or two more?
Mr. President, Seattle police have reported a surge in calls about domestic violence. A number of groups have raised
About
concerns.
Mexican violence?
Domestic violence. A number of groups have raised concerns that the longer people are stuck at home, the more domestic violence cases there are going to be. Do you share those concerns, and what is being done
Well, it
to make
could
sure
be. It's
that
another cost of not getting our country working. I mean, people are now. Some people are
streamed
getting
all night
along
this
great.
morning.
I've also had the exact opposite question. Families are coming
He's
together.
going to bed soon to fix
They're
his
actually
sleep
coming
schedule?
together. They haven't talked for a long time, and
What,
now
like
all of
9
a
a.m.
sudden
or
they're
something?
talking
Or
again.
9
They're
p.m.?
loving each other. So I've heard that too. But I also have heard domestic violence, much at a higher level. And
Am I for
drug
Trump?
use
No.
because of, in this case, they'd lose their jobs. They had a great job. They had a great life. They have a great family.
I do not
All
like
of a
Trump.
sudden, the husband's told
I'm
that
anti-Trump.
he doesn't have a job anymore, and he's got no money. And that brings drugs into it. That brings.
I want to
suicide
play
into it.
Modern Warfare with
It's
Paul
a terrible
sometime.
thing. We
I
have
should
to
call
get
him
our
up.
country
Play
going
Warzone.
again. We did the right thing. We had no choice.
He said
We
he
did
was
the right
hiring
thing. Other
e-girls
countries
to
tried
play
to
Warzone.
use the herd or the herd mentality. It's just something that doesn't work. If you look at, I mean, just to say, I heard Sweden gave it a shot, and they saw things that were really frightening, and they went immediately to shutting down the country.
Sweden?
We did the right thing, and we did it early. And we stopped other people from coming into our country early. But no, that's a cost. I've been talking about that. People say, "What are you talking about?" But you'll have that. You'll have domestic violence.
Look at
you'll have
Sweden's doing
violence,
this in a different
You'll
way.
have suicide. You'll have drug addiction. A lot of people are going to be lost. We want to get this open as soon as we
real
can.
calm in the
I'll be
last country in Europe
happiest
to hold out
person,
against
so will you.
lockdown.
Everyone in this room happy when we get the word that this is the time, and we have our common sense, and they'll give me a decision, or they'll be making certain statements, and I think I'll know how to interpret those statements very well. I'll be with Mike. I'll be with the task force. I'll be with a lot of very talented people, including the two people on stage with us. But I look forward. That'll be a great day. That'll be a great day. All right. How about one more, please?
Can I ask a question of Mr. Wolf? Can I ask a question to
Sure.
Mr. Wolf?
See, they're basically like
What is the
doing
current
nothing.
contingency plan in ICE detention centers where cases of COVID-19 are already popping up? Some people have been released. Is there a contingency plan, and would you release the most vulnerable people like children and the elder?
Well, ICE looks at, on a case-by-case basis, even well before COVID, on looking at certain detention facilities and determining on a case-by-case basis if they do need to release individuals. And when we do that, we often put them on alternatives to detention as well. In the case of COVID, we're looking at vulnerable populations, and again, ICE is doing that in conjunction with CDC and other medical professionals. And in some cases, we do need to do that for the health and safety and the well-being of those detainees. But again, that's a case-by-case basis. We're not going to make any
Well,
blanket
unfortunately, I
statement
can't
that we're
stream
gonna
on my
release
PS4,
individuals or
so I
full
can't
groups
play it
at a
with him
time.
on
So,
stream.
it's really
When
important.
he's streaming, I
and
can
I've
play
said
with
it twice now. It's really a case-by-case basis, determining the health of that
How do you know
particular
he's playing
population or
Warzone right now?
detainee, the facility they're in. Different facilities have different capabilities, whether it's an ICE-owned facility or it's a contractor-owned facility. And so we're certainly doing that. We're doing that today.
I'll try to call him after this,
We've
see if
been
he's
doing
up.
that for the past several weeks.
Did you say when they've been released?
While you're up, could you talk about how tight that southern border is right now?
Absolutely. We continue to build miles of the wall every day. We're up to over 150, I believe. We're continuing to build new miles of wall. And a lot of folks ask about replacement wall or new miles, and it's a new capability on our southwest border that we haven't had before. And so whether you talk to the agents, the Border Patrol agents, they like that capability, they like that impedance and denial that it provides them, and it provides the ability for those agents to focus elsewhere on parts of the border that are very difficult to patrol, so we can use our resources in a different way. And so we
Have you
see
played with him?
a lot of benefits from the border wall system. And again, that includes not only the physical infrastructure, but the cameras, the roads, the lighting,
We
the
don't feel it
fiber
too.
optic cables.
I think they're doing the UK
we're
did.
looking
We'll
forward, and
introduce
we're
it very
still
soon.
well on our track, well on our mark to meet 400, 450 miles by the end of the calendar year.
What actions are you taking
Mr.
inside?
Wolf, can I get one more question from you while you're here? There's been concern among farmers about being able to get enough migrant labor to keep the food supply moving as we go into the harvest season. What are you doing to address that?
Well, at the direction of the Vice President and the task force, we are looking at a number of different options with the H-2A workers that you mentioned on how do we either extend the validity of their visa, or looking at a couple of different options. Nothing to announce here today, but again, at the direction of the President and the Vice President, we're looking at a variety of different options that I think we will have soon, and it'll be very beneficial.
What about waiving
But I
visa
am glad
restrictions
you
for
asked that
food?
question, because we want the farmers, they've had this for years. We want the farmers to be able to get the people that have been working those farms for years, or we're not going to have farms. So they're going to come in, and they're going to be given a certain pass, and we're going to check them very, very closely, especially over the next month. Because remember, after a month or so, I think once this passes, we're not going to have to be, hopefully, worried too much about the virus. But we want them to come in. We're not closing the border so that we can't
Moist
get
Lawyer, what's up?
people to come
They're
in.
winding down the
Years and
conference
years,
now. Do I
I've
think
given a
CIA is still
commitment to
doing
the
things like
farmers they're gonna
Operations
continue to
Mockingbird?
come,
I
or we're
don't
not going
know.
to have any farmers. Okay? Yeah, one more question. For the ships, we're taking the Canadians off.
I'm sure they're doing shady
giving
shit,
them
but
to
not as intense.
Canadian authorities. They're going to bring them back home.
You know,
And
they
the same
can't
thing
get
with the
away with
UK.
anything like that
But
anymore.
we have to help the people. They're in big trouble, no matter where they're from. Happen to be Americans, largely Americans. But whether they were or not, I mean, they're dying. So we have to do something. And the governor knows that too.
Before being sent on?
Well, we're sending a lot of
I
them
wish
home.
I
We're
was
sending a
eating
lot of them
bagel.
home
I'm
to their
here.
countries. But we'll be doing something.
want a
and we'll be
bagel.
announcing.
I want an
But
everything
we're also,
bagel.
putting medical staff onto the
From Bergen
ships so
Bagels
that
in
we
Brooklyn.
can, we have to take care of
Oh,
the
that's the best
At
bagel.
the risk of getting chewed out again.
No, you won't. You know.
Mr. President, the IRS is requiring people who don't normally file income tax to file a simple income tax
Cheesecake.
return in order
Oh,
to get
sounds
a
good.
$1,200 check.
Cheesecake
Is
sounds
that
good
the way
too.
it's going to be, or is there something you can do to?
I had heard that. Now I don't know. Do you know that answer, Mike?
IRS issued some guidance.
Yeah.
It sounds like it.
It's
I mean,
not in the bill, but it's
we can
IRS.
get back. Yeah, it's a process that they're working on. We'll get back to you as soon as we find out. All right, one more, please.
Mr. President, you spoke with President Bolsonaro of Brazil today.
I did. I
at
spoke
least
to him,
According
yes.
to Twitter.
He's great. He's a great guy, and he's doing a wonderful job.
Still
From
meeting
Brazil.
with his
Spoke to him
supporters,
this morning.
talking to them. So what
And
is your
just a
assessment?
very complimentary call. He's working very hard. He's got a problem with the virus, got a big problem, and we talked about it today at length. We had a call this morning, and Brazil is shut down, as you know. They weren't going to shut it down, but they had to. So Brazil is shut down. The world is shut down. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. The entire world is shut down. You go from having the most powerful economy in the world and from other countries that are doing well to being everything is shut down. It's very sad, but we're going to get it going, and we're going to be stronger than ever. I really believe that. We're going to be stronger. We're going to have a big bounce, a very big bounce when this is gone. And I just want to thank the American people. I want to thank these great professionals, and I want to thank the media, because really, for the most part, the media has been very fair. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You've been listening to the President
Oh,
of the
that's
United
it.
States.
That was boring.
Wrapping up.
That was a little boring. I don't know if he's got to start upping the entertainment factor in this, because I don't know what the point really is of continuing to watch this. You know, it's sort of interesting, but it's the same shit every day. I don't know if there's any point. It's interesting to see it over time unfold, but you know, I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you learning? Are you learning from this? If there's no news, there is no news. Real. Yeah. I kind of like it out in the background, you know? And then we can just sort of like chat about other shit. Things are the same, right? Like, it would be one thing if like something really crazy happened and then he was addressing it, right? But like it's just this unfolding crisis. You want me to keep it going with the press conferences? I'm down. I think we could do a thing where we like pop in and out, you know? Or just like look at other stuff. Like, look at this. Federal stockpile of emergency medical supplies is nearly empty. Nobody asked him about that, did they? Seems like that would have been a good thing to ask. Right. I mean, we're still at the banality of boredom. That's a good idea. I mean, the thing is, boredom already is banal, so nobody. The thing about banality of evil that was interesting is that people thought evil was, you know, really. People thought evil was really, you know, outrageous or disgusting or spectacular, but her whole point was that, you know, evil is can be banal, can be work a day, can be woven into really boring things. I think everybody knows that boredom is banal. Banality of Corona. I mean, Corona is kind of boring. The whole crisis is just, there's nothing really to see or do. You can't really see it happening. You can't really. The impacts are all very like negative, right? It's like nobody's around. Everything empties out. It's eerie. It's creepy. It's disturbing. It's unsettling. Yeah. Agreed. I think that if you look back at like something like, I haven't watched it. Have you watched Contagion recently? Contagion, I remember it being like very dramatic, exciting. Like, this is just like grueling, grinding, boredom. So maybe it's more like the banality of a crisis, you know? It's like everybody thinks a crisis is about something really exciting and really crazy, but this crisis is very boring. You don't think? I mean, what do you mean? I'm not saying it's supposed to be entertaining, but it's like it is. You know, like 9/11 was really spectacular. It was like something that you were felt viscerally. This is something that you just feel like haunting you, and you don't really know what's going on, what's real or not. Like if it was a huge Ebola outbreak, it would be chaos. Right. And I mean, this thing is like, it is very serious. People are going to die, but for the vast majority of people, it's not going to be that bad. So that makes it weird. What? Contagion took place over 2 months? Or over 2 years? I didn't know that. Okay, well I'll keep doing the press conferences then. It's good content. I don't know what else I would do really. I think remember when they did the Rocky thing with the kid and father stuck inside? What do you mean? The Rocky type thing. Oh. montage. I don't know. Was that in Contagion? I want to come up with some sort of like. we need to do something together around this. You know, like. Yeah, they were just living life, being bored, just getting rations and shit. Huh. We'll think of something. Yeah. Like, I want, got lots of books I need to read. What are you trying to read? Trump's gonna start getting boring if it was like today. I don't know. I don't know what. I think it might ramp up because as things get worse, there's gonna be more and more tension between the governors and him, and people will start coming out more forcefully to criticize him. He'll have to beat it down. Adults in the Room. I've heard that was good. Yeah, I know about Giannis Varoufakis. He's an interesting guy. I'm reading this book, Milkman now. This novel. It's really good. You guys are looking for a novel. It's about the troubles in Ireland. Good book. The language is really good. You think the USA will try to cover up numbers when it gets past 100K? No. I don't think so. I don't think that there's going to be a cover up of numbers. I think we have too much transparency here to cover up numbers, but who knows? I think people haven't really investigated the accuracy of the numbers here, you know? I think the numbers are probably way different than what we think they are. Everybody thinks numbers are so objective, but I don't know. I think that the way that they're being produced is interesting and nobody's looked into it. WHO stopped counting 500K infected with swine flu. Really? Is that true? I don't know. This is not good though. Federal stockpile of emergency. Did they ask him about this? Did they ask Trump about this? Officials said that emergency meant delivered more than 11.6 million masks, 5.2 million. Oh, what did he say? 22 million gloves. They said they're getting more. Oh, so that's why they're ramping up all the production, right? Cuomo's trying to get him to do the Defense Production Act. Look, you have a shortfall on gowns. American companies can't make gowns. They're not like wedding gowns. They're like paper gowns. Make the gowns. Make the gloves. Make the mask. You know, why are we running out of these basic supplies? That's what I'm saying. The Trump administration for weeks was reluctant to use the law until last Friday when Mr. Trump said he would use it to prioritize an order of ventilators from General Motors. They should have been doing this a long time ago, right? If they had started this immediately, they could have filled the national stockpile again before it ran out, probably. He said that they were being distributed rather than going into their stockpile, I think. Okay. Do you have a favorite writer, journalist, or someone you like or look up to? I I mean, one of my favorite journalists is one of my favorite writers is Joan Didion. I really like her range, how she could do everything from essays to reporting to book reviews to novels, and her writing just sentence to sentence is some of the best in the world. So I would say she's high up there. I would say, you know, obviously Hunter S. Thompson. Just I really like his first book on Hell's Angels. That was sort of a model for me. I don't know if you haven't read Hunter S. Thompson's book on Hell's Angels. It's just a really good embedded reporting about spending time with the Hell's Angels. They make vents. They ship it straight to where it's needed. They cut out a trip to a stock area. Okay. Oh, I definitely would read that. I like investigative reporting. Seymour Hersh is one of my favorite journalists. I like all sorts of. I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to pin down. Virginia Woolf is one of my favorite writers, novelists. I like all sorts of. And it changes all the time. You know, depending on what I'm reading, what I'm into. I'm curious what you guys think about this. I saw this thing on Twitter. I retweeted it. I think this was a good point that people have not really been talking about, and it's sort of relevant to what was going on today. So this is Andrew Basovich, who I like his stuff a lot. He's a historian, sort of military dude, and he's written a lot about sort of American imperialism, and he has criticized American foreign policy a lot as basically just being too driven by our need to control the world at all costs, even though it's bad for us and it's bad for the world. But, you know, he basically says that coronavirus, well, you'll see.
Terror has indeed arrived on our shores, and it has nothing to do with Al-Qaeda or ISIS or Iranian-backed militias. Americans are terrorized today because it has now become apparent that our government, whether out of negligence or stupidity, has left them exposed to dangers that truly put life and liberty at risk. President Trump's grotesque ineptitude and tone deafness have only made matters worse. Yet to heap the blame for this crisis on Trump alone, although he certainly deserves blame, is to miss its deeper significance. Deferred for far too long, Judgment Day may have at long last arrived for the national security state. The coronavirus pandemic should teach Americans one lesson in particular. The national security state created to keep us safe and guard our freedoms has failed. In the face of a pandemic, nature's version of an act of true terror, that failure, which Americans will continue to suffer from for months to come, should be seen as definitive. Unlike faraway autocrats or terrorist organizations, non-military threats, such as extreme weather events to pandemics, directly and immediately threaten the safety and well-being of the American people. All these years in which the national security state has been preoccupied with projecting military power abroad have left us naked and vulnerable right here at home. Today, Americans do not feel safe, and to a degree without precedent, they are being denied the exercise of basic everyday freedoms. But don't tell the national security state that the principal threats to our collective well-being are right here where we live. Protecting Americans where they live ought to be the national security priority of our time. Neither the failures of 9/11 nor of the subsequent global war on terrorism has driven home this lesson. Perhaps the smallest of microbes will do that.
So yeah, I mean, I think he makes a good point. We basically have spent so much time fighting this enemy that we don't really need to. Protecting people from made up threats. What do you mean China? Bill Gates wants the U.S. on lockdown? I saw that. He said we needed to lock us down. Testicles! Shut up! Bill Gates low-key comes across as a fascist. I mean, Bill Gates, I have some issues with Bill Gates.
Unlike any we have ever.
Is there a video of him?
You all see it. You see it probably better.
He wants to... Bill Gates did a TED Talk? Oh. Oh, here. It's described. Bill Gates says we can't restart the economy soon, simply ignore the pile of bodies in the corner. I don't think it's out. Just look it up on YouTube. No, this is a description of something he said recently. He said in an interview with TED Tuesday. Where's the link? Well, put a link in there. He doesn't really say anything. I mean, Bill Gates, you know, he knows a lot about diseases and stuff, but his approach is always, yeah, very technocratic, top-down, like, I don't know, something that works for Africa. I don't know if that's the right approach for here, and also I don't even know if it's the right approach for Africa. Well, show me the video. Can I not? I can, but I'm too lazy. It's a TED Talk? This old one? Oh, this.
Hello and welcome to everyone joining us from around the globe. Thank you for being part of day 2 of our special series, TED Connects. This week, we're bringing you interviews from some of the world's greatest minds to offer tools for us to navigate through and thrive in these really uncertain times. I'm Whitney Pennington-Rogers, TED's Current Affairs Curator, and I'll be one of your hosts for today's event. Yesterday, we kicked off this series with an interview from acclaimed psychologist Susan David, who offered us some tips on how to really be our best selves in these trying times. And
introduce, on the other side of the country, let's bring in Bill Gates. Bill, they say the better known people are, the less you have to intro them. So it's great to have you here. How are you doing?
Well, I think this is an unprecedented, really disconcerting time for everyone, with things being shut down, not knowing exactly how long it's going to last, worrying about the health of all the people we care about. You know, I'm lucky that I get to connect up with video conferencing using Teams a lot, so the foundation is stepping up, and there's a lot of great people trying to help with this crisis. But it's scary for everyone.
Are you basically stuck at home like many of us watching?
Michael Doran?
Yeah,
Never heard
almost
of him.
all my meetings are using Teams now. I'm getting used to that. I've gone days without seeing any co-workers.
Let's start here.
I don't
Bill.
know. It looks like
5
he's
years
in an
ago,
office, maybe.
you stood on the TED stage, and you gave this chilling warning that the world was in danger at some point of a major pandemic. People watching that talk now, the hair stands up in the back of their neck. It is exactly what we're living through. What happened? Did people listen to that warning at all?
Basically, no. I was hopeful that with the
Michael Doran? I'll look him up.
Zika and Ebola and SARS and MERS, they all reminded us that particularly in a world where people move around so much, you can get huge devastation.
That's
and
true.
so the talk was to say, hey, we're not ready for the next pandemic, but in fact, there's advances in science that if we put resources against them, we can be ready. Sadly, very little was done. There were some things. The Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovation, CEPI, was funded by our foundation, Wellcome Trust, and a number of governments to do some of the platform vaccine work. But in the area of diagnostics, antibodies, antivirals, basically doing the disease games that I talked about where we'd simulate what needed to be done, we hardly did anything. And so now here we have a respiratory virus that is sadly fulfilling some of the more negative predictions I
Bill
made.
Gates.
I mean, last month you said that this might be the big one. You wrote that this could be the sort of once in a century pandemic that people had been fearing. Is that how you think of it still?
Well, it's awful to say this, but we could have a respiratory virus whose case fatality rate was even higher. If this was something like smallpox, that kills 30% of people. So this is horrific. But, in fact, most...
All right, well, maybe we can watch that later. One thing I was interested in was, Bill Gates, what did he say? Did he say anything interesting? Did anybody watch this?
Has been backing. And so our expertise is in those medical tools. And
it has allowed people to work. It's tried to make extreme measures for protecting the most elderly population, but they've tried to sort of they've tried to find a middle scenario, haven't they?
Well, if you act when you have hundreds of cases, you may be able to contain it by doing great testing and great contact tracing and restricting foreigners coming in without as much damage to our economy.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. has passed this opportunity to control without shutdown, so that the worst case of what was happening in Wuhan in the beginning or in northern Italy,
Right.
the last few
We're
weeks,
screwed.
that we avoid that.
I read this. The quote that he had from it was like, oh, he wrote an op-ed yesterday. Here's how to make up for lost time. It's pretty clear to me that he says that, we must miss the opportunity to get ahead of the novel coronavirus, but the window for making important decisions hasn't closed. The choices we and our leaders make now will have an enormous impact on how soon the number of cases start to go down and how long the economy remains shut. He's spoken with experts. It's become clear that we must take 3 steps. First, we need a consistent nationwide approach to shutting down. Despite urging from public health experts, some states and counties still haven't shut down completely. In some states, beaches are still open. In others, restaurants still serve sit-down meals. Where's that? Where can you still sit down? I don't think so. So he says this is a recipe for disaster. The country's leaders need to be clear. Shut down anywhere means shut down everywhere. Until the numbers start to go down across America, which could take 10 weeks or more, no one can continue business as usual or relax the shutdown. Any confusion will only extend the economic pain. Second, the federal government needs to step up on testing. Far more tests should be made available. We should also aggregate the results so we can quickly identify potential volunteers for clinical trials. So New York recently expanded its capacity to more than 20,000 tests per day. There's new tests. Even so, demands for tests will probably exceed supply for some time, and right now there's little rhyme or reason to who gets the few that are available. As a result, we don't have a good handle on how many cases there are or where the virus is likely head next. Okay. We need clear priorities on who is tested. And we need more masks as well. Masks and ventilators. Finally, we need a data-based approach to developing treatments and vaccine. He's very big on the data. That's sort of his trademark, right? He's very big on data, using data. Scientists are working full speed on both. In the meantime, leaders can help by not stoking rumors or panic buying. Long before the drug hydroxychloroquine was approved as an emergency treatment for COVID-19, people started hoarding it, making it hard for lupus patients who need it to survive. Yikes. That sucks. We should stick with the process that works, run rapid trials involving various candidates, and inform the public when the results are in. Once we have a safe and effective treatment, we'll need to ensure that the first doses go to the people who need them the most. To bring the disease to an end, we'll need a safe and effective vaccine. If we do everything right, we could have one in less than 18 months, about the fastest a vaccine has ever developed. We'll need to manufacture billions of doses. So they need to start building the facilities where the vaccines will be made. Private companies can't take that risk, but the federal government can. It's a great sign that the administration has made deals with at least 2 companies to prepare for vaccine manufacturing. Okay. So he's just saying that we need more tests, we need a strategy, we need more tests by the federal government, and then we need a data-based approach. He's arguing a lot for like centralized authority. We need more. The federal government basically needs to step up and do these things because nobody else can do them. That's what he's saying. Sort of a martial law incoming. I mean, I don't think you need martial law, but it does seem like the government needs to step up. I don't know. I think this all seems like good advice. I don't know. Are we actually doing it though? You don't trust Bill Gates at all. What's this? Soylent Green, right. That's our future right there. They need to make like 1 million of those 5-minute test machines. He posted this on Reddit. Look, NBC News.
Wow. Listen to Dateline wherever you get your podcasts.
You're watching NBC News Now. We've got some breaking news. This is all I've got left.
Who brought more to the caucuses?
It's news made for your streaming world.
NBC is doing streaming news now, huh?
Weekdays, 3 to 11 p.m. Eastern.
Why don't you trust Bill Gates? I mean, I don't. I think that a lot of the Eventually, we'll have some digital certificates to show who has been recovered or been tested when we have a vaccine, who has received it. So you're thinking that sounds pretty fascist. I mean, that is kind of weird. I was talking with a friend about that too. Like, yeah, we're gonna have different like tiers of society, and there will be different statuses about like who can go where, who can do what. I would hope that that's not how this plays out, because I do think that would be bad. You know, that would just increase the stigma on people who get it or have it. And I don't think that you would be able to do that. What you should do is basically, it should be about protecting the people who are the most vulnerable. That's what it should be about. It shouldn't be about trying to sort everybody into different, categories. Kind of, they have green, yellow, red app system when people want to enter businesses. Is that true? That's weird. Right. They have the social credit system. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Weird times, man. Weird times. I'm ready. I'm ready for it to be done. It's kind of hot. It's getting kind of hot up here too in my room. All right. $31.19. Let me see. I might have it. Yes, I'm hot. It's not hot. It's not cold in LA.
At different stages of the disease to reduce the respiratory distress.
I heard you mention that one possibility might be treatments from
71 here.
The serum, the blood serum of people who had the disease and recovered. So I guess they're carrying antibodies. Talk a bit about that, about how that could work and what it would take to accelerate that.
Yeah, this has always been discussed, is how could you pull that off? So people who are recovered, it appears, have really effective antibodies in their blood. So you could go transfuse them and only take out the white cells, the immune cells. And then the question...
Right, I heard about this antibody treatment. Oh, God. I just want to go to a bar. I don't want to be stuck inside anymore. All right, guys, I'm gonna play a little Tarkov and then call it a day. Go drink some malt liquor. I'd love to. Your hospital is all planned from the Trilateral Commission. Dude, do you actually believe this stuff? You're trolling me, right? You're trolling me. Where did you come from, testicles? Jehovah's Witness gonna be screwed if it turns out that way? Why, are they not allowed to do blood transfusions? Basically. I know, testicles. Hua, 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 hua. You guys have to work or what? You guys aren't are you working while you're watching me? Multitasking? What do you do for work? Don't you guys have jobs? Classified, okay. Uh-oh. Mom? Is that my mom? So I got a lot of good stuff yesterday. Work whenever you want. That's good. I'm pretty much addicted to this. Yes. Got a lot of good stuff. Do a lot of writing and art. Well, that's cool. That's work. The guy said that this was a good gun, so I'm gonna use this gun. This though. Then I'll use a pistol. Security analyst for the government? That is sort of classified, really. What are you analyzing? What's the word on the streets? Fill this up. $762. Trying to tie it together with a game, but it's time consuming. Oh, you're trying to make a game, huh? That's cool. I was supposed to go back to work today after 3 weeks, but I'm skipping work. What do you do for work? Aren't you on lockdown? You can go to work? Late lunch hour. What are you eating for lunch? I was just thinking about lunch. How I eat pretty much the same thing every day for lunch since I've been working from home. It's a turkey sandwich. Is it bad to get my news from the Daily Mail? Yes, I would say so. Do you actually go and visit the Daily Mail website? That's how you get your news? Ooh, chicken Caesar salad with side of avocado? That sounds good. Daily Mail is just like, it's like a tabloid, you know? Like, you can get some information from there, but if it will destroy your brain if that's all you're getting. I don't think there's really any answer to, like, you know, where you should get your information. I think that you really have to go through a lot, go to a lot of different ones. This is it. People always ask me, like, what the best place to... Guardian and New York Times are too hard to read. You sent us. You're fucking with me. Come on. The New York Times, like, it's probably the average is probably like an 8th grade reading level. 51. What do I recommend? I don't think there's any one thing. I think it's about, you know, just being engaged, figuring out. I don't know. I don't think there's any one thing. Personally, if I had to read one thing, I guess I would read the New York Times, but I don't think I would be I'd be like very basically informed about things. become a nihilist. It is hard. Like once you start reading a lot of news and you just realize that everything, it's not. Or is that what it is? It's not that it's like biased or fake, but it's just everything has a point of view, you know? And so you always have to be aware of the point of view, the sort of the biases that go into it, the way that the different, you know, things that inform the coverage of this newspaper. And I think the Times, they have their own, you know, it's not an agenda necessarily. It makes it seem too deliberate, but you know, everybody who works for them most of them are like liberals, upper middle class, well, highly educated. Like these people all have their own sort of subculture, so it's not surprising that it would reflect that. Right. Okay, I don't know why I can't find... Why can't I find the ammo for this? $762 by 51. Maybe there's somebody they're not selling it. 762 by 51. How are people in Jeopardy so smart? I don't know. They're sort of like savants, right? I think you have to have a really good memory, which I don't have. They probably read a lot. I think a lot of it's about memory. I have a terrible memory. I would never be able to be good at Jeopardy. I know a lot, but when it comes to facts, 54. Can I use 54 on it? Well, actually, what I should do is this, empty this out. This guy. Do I like to smoke weed? I'm not a huge fan, honestly. I never was. I like it sometimes. I like to get stoned and listen to music sometimes, but a lot of times it just sort of freaks me out. I get paranoid. NPR is good stories and entertainment stuff, but as soon as they start harping on filling airtime, I'm kind of over it. I like NPR. I think they're good for straight news. I like the BBC for world news. I want to see if I can figure out the... See, I'm trying to find... $762.51, and I wanted to see if I could use other... NPR is good. Why can't I find any of these? Geraldo Rivera, is that where you get your news from? I started reading the Times. My parents didn't actually get that. They got Newsweek. I read Newsweek as a kid. Which now no longer really exists. But I liked Newsweek because they had a lot of like infographics and fun features, and it was just fun to read as a kid and could kind of understand it. But these days I get most of my news from Twitter, and that's just informed by people I've followed like over many, many years. So I get this weird sort of customized newspaper, and a lot of it's sort of like left-wing people, so they share a lot of like left-wing stuff. I get a lot of just like odd posts from people who nobody knows about, artists, writers. I don't know. I like that the most because it sort of reflects my development. But I also try to read like other big newspapers just to sort of balance that out, because I know you definitely can sort of get bogged down in your. Maybe I should just this. Shotgun. I'll just bring this. Where should I bring this? I don't really want to lose this. My Discord, it's in the description. Can I just sell this and buy a bunch of other guns? Mountain Dew, do you see it in the info? 100,000. Wow, this is a lot. I'm gonna sell this and buy other guns. AK is fine. Actually, okay. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with this loadout. Whatever. Bad idea. I don't really have enough here. But... Never used Discord? Yeah, you should. It's easy. Do I think Gary or Lunar? I haven't really watched Lunar. Who's Lunar? Yeah, let's go. Look, I got some good gear now. Who's Lunar? Like, a musician? I don't know. I haven't seen him, so I couldn't compare. I think Gary's very consistent. Seems to have a good community. I know nothing about Lunar. Is this game free? No. It was $40, I think. It's in beta. It's in early access. Do I watch any podcasts? No. I listen to a podcast called The Dig, which is this socialist interview show. And then I listen to this podcast it's a network called New Books Network. And they have interviews with like all sorts of like academics about their books. And that's like just a lot of weird information. It's pretty cool. I would you might like it. It's like they have like the most weird random shit, like just every subject they interview authors about really obscure books that they wrote on. Like one I read was about, or one I listened to was about porn during the Civil War. Somebody wrote a whole book on porn, Civil War era porn. and how it was used in by troops and stuff. And apparently they had a whole black market of porn among troops in the Civil War. Yeah. And do I use Audible? I do sometimes when I'm driving a lot. I have a book. I've downloaded a book about the 1918 pandemic that I'm about a few hours in. Eric Weinstein. Can you go to jail? I haven't heard of Eric Weinstein. Maybe I have. I've never listened to his podcast. So I'll check it out though. Can you go to jail for having porn that time? I think it was like a gray area, but I don't think you could. I think it was like they said that all the soldiers had it. I have a JD degree? What's that mean? I don't have a JD degree. You mean I'm not a lawyer, if that's what you're saying. Alright. So basically I just have to find an extract point. I need to find... The whole point of this game is just to drop in, kill some people, loot them, get their loot, and then you escape. But very hard. Oh, was that a guy? I thought I saw a guy going there. Sound is really scary in this game. Oh! I don't want to go that way. No thanks. I didn't bring enough ammo for my pistol. Shoot. I don't know who Holly Randall is. Who's that? I think there's some loot in here. Porn producer, that's interesting. It's a trial planned by the Trilateral Commission. You don't say. Tell me more. I'm definitely gonna die. Oh god. I'm not... I don't want to take out that guy. How was it in the Civil War? Photos? They had photography in the Civil War. Where am I going? God, there's so many people here. Scared. I'm definitely gonna die. Oh, can I get under here? There we go. I need to find this. I need to get out of here. Looking at a map now. Have to go. Orange XEVX Crossroads Trailer Park. Okay. Wow, I have to go really far away. RAUF roadblock. And I have to go all the way across the map. I have to go this way. Where is this? That's the gas station. I have to go this way. I really don't want to fight anybody else right now. I don't think that's a good idea. Think loot in here? Ooh! Okay, I bet there's something in here. Way wide open though. Ah, it's open. Heck. Something in here? Oh, look at this. Euros. That in there. Oh, there's a dead guy. That ain't good. Where am I going? Okay, I don't want to go up to the dorms. I think that will be bad. Although I could extract there. Should I try to? The guy, when I played with this guy, he was like, "Don't go up to the dorms." But if I have to go all the way to the smuggler's boat, I'll just keep going. Sounds like there's a lot of people in the dorms. That was a guy. Whew! This game is very scary. But I heard something. Okay. I think I'm close. If I just keep going along this road and then go up, I think I'll hit the smuggler's boat and then I'll be able to get out. Oh shit. There's a person. Where'd they go? I want to get out of here alive. I just gotta get down here with the smuggler's boat and I'll be able to get out. Oops, I got burned. Huh. got some gear. Wow. Tarkov, yes. Escape from Tarkov. I successfully survived. Whew! See, that's what I love. I love about this game is that nothing happens, and you're like, no kills, but man, every single time, it's just like extremely tense. But I got some stuff. Oh yeah, thanks for getting rid of that guy. I don't know, that guy was annoying. I'm into like letting people live their life, but no. All right. Yeah, dude. Everyone, because once if you get killed, you lose all the stuff. So look, I got this gun. I don't know what this is. A sight. Oh, I have this already on one of my things, I think. I got a Slickers, cigarettes, condensed milk. Milk? I don't know what I'm supposed to do with all this. I got a handle for a gun. What's this? A mount? Okay, so you can like add a flashlight with this. Bolts. Okay. Oh, I got some stuff. That's cool. Woo! That game is really intense. All right, I'm gonna go. I gotta go. I gotta help Lauren with something. Did a good shift today. Thanks for sticking around, guys. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. See you for the briefing tomorrow. Bye. 2 p.m. I'll be back. Try to do 2 to 5.